Hello, everybody. My name is Max Pleplard, and you're listening to Armchair Expert. I'm joined by Pranica Prodman.
That's me.
Here we are.
In
on a glorious Monday morning. Now, today, we made a new friend.
Oh, we did, didn't we?
I mean, this son of a gun, Ike
Barinholtz.
What a name. Ike Barinholtz.
Yeah, good name. Strong name.
Only seen him in movies, never bumped into him.
Mm-hmm.
I prowl around these city streets in Los Angeles. I strike up conversations with other thespians. Never met Ike.
Yeah.
Boy, did I fall head over heels in love with him.
Yeah, he is a fun guy.
He really is. I think he needs his own podcast.
Yeah, but we don't want that to compete with ours.
Well, it'd be worth it. He was so nice, it'd be worth it.
That's
so
evolved of you.
So funny and such a good heart.
I would listen every day.
I kind of fell in love with him. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. Before we get to Ike, by the way, guys, it's hysterical. He's really, really funny.
He's so funny.
We are coming to New York. Last reminder, virtually. Or next to now, last reminder.
Come see us.
At BAM in Brooklyn, September 22nd. First show is sold out. Second show has a couple seats left. We just secured our lineup today. It is fucking tasty.
It's fun, guys.
Ooh. Boy, did we get a tasty little lineup. Also, next week is going to be a weird week for you guys. It's a special week. It is Good Place Week.
That's right. Leading up to the premiere of season 3, The Good Place.
And we're going to have a bunch of The Good Place brass and talent.
We have 4 episodes for you next week.
Oh, boy.
Get your seatbelt on.
Because it's going to be 10 plus hours of chatting come your way.
But
in fact, in this week in preparation of next week, get a comfortable chair. You're going to need it. You'd get piles
stock
if you
up
sat.
on some rations.
Yeah, get some treats, like a succulent pancetta macaroni and cheese.
Ooh, and get your beauty blender out. You can apply some makeup while you're at it.
Ugh, what a good time it'll be. Also, check out Ike's movie called The Oath. It sounds really exciting. I'm looking forward to watching it. And
Me too.
Hopefully y'all will seek it out and watch it as well. Without further ado, Ike Barinholtz.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Ike, welcome to Armchair Expert.
Thank you for having me. It's really an armchair.
It really is. I let it go one time, too, for David Harbour.
You get
Do you
to
like-
him? He's
yeah.
a badass. I would give him my chair.
Right.
Yeah, and he's so masculine. Like, he got here, and I just felt like I'd invited a grizzly bear into the attic.
He looks like a grizzly. He's a dude.
He is a dude's dude.
I saw him on the red carpet at the Suicide Squad premiere, and he was all hobbled on crutches, but he's wearing a big silver suit, and a big beard. He looked crazy.
Hobbled on crutches.
I thought he was about to say the Suicide Sisters concert.
No, it was Scissor Sisters. I saw him at Scissor Sisters.
Okay, there we go.
Scissor Sisters. We, on our ride here, Monica and I, we drove together. And someone's got a Prevost bus on Hobart, and I'm super into motorhomes. Like, irrationally excited by motorhomes. It's $1.5 million motorhome sitting over there on Hobart. And I had to stop and find out whose motorhome is this? Who owns a Prevost? And these gals loading up a trailer said, Suicide Girls. Suicide Girls?
Suicide Sisters.
Suicide Sisters.
Suicide Sisters are, now there's the Suicide Girls.
That's like
That's
a
like
pinup
tattoo,
thing.
Pinup thing. Then there's Scissor Sisters, and now you're telling me there's Suicide Sisters.
Wait, Scissor Sisters is a thing other than lesbians?
No, Scissor Sisters is a band.
Oh.
Take your mama. Oh,
Take your daddy.
Yeah.
Now I'm just
yeah.
riffing. I'll take your mama. Oh.
No,
I'll
they're
take your
good.
daddy. Oh.
Dada.
Now, where's your grandpa?
They just
'cause
cover
it's-
the whole family.
Yeah, they just
They sing
go
about
through
family.
your second first cousin. Come on.
Uncle Fred coming down now.
Aunt Sally made salad.
And
It's just
Sally
about
always makes salad.
It's just about a family picnic, really. Here comes Mark with some sandwiches.
Cousin Jeffrey put on some weight.
Oh, he's not gonna make it.
Cousin Jeff and not looking good.
Well, let's just backtrack. Scissors Sisters was I guess a pejorative for lesbians because of the sex act where you're scissoring.
Yeah, and I think there are like a fully gay band. Like
Okay,
everyone
great.
in the
So
band
they
is gay.
took the term back.
Yeah, they owned it.
That's right.
Yeah,
I love that. It's
yeah,
one of
me
my
too.
favorite
Baller
things.
move.
Yeah, some people say you're a big fucking idiot, and I'm like, I know, I own it.
Yeah, and I can say it.
I
You
own
can't.
it. I'm an idiot.
But you were about to tell me we brewed some coffee.
Yeah, it's really good, by the way. These are good pods.
I just these are really nice pods. Where did you get these pods? I just want to say that when I asked you if you want a coffee, you had such a specific yes. I go, hey, do you want a coffee? And you go, yeah. And then I knew immediately you have an agreement with yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that you were about to break it. Is that accurate?
I have the dad thing where I
Okay.
need a cup of coffee right when I wake up to deal with it.
Yeah. You have three.
Three girls.
Yeah.
Oh, 3.
Between 5 and 5 months. So
Holy
it's-
shit.
Yeah, it's crazy up in my house.
Yeah.
And then I have a second cup, and then I try to keep it to 3 a day. I just don't want my heart to explode. And I usually do that third cup around 12:30. But you offered it to me,
Yeah.
and the cups look cool.
Yeah. Right.
And I got to tell you, even with powdered non-dairy creamer, I think I'm in freaking Paris right now. At a cafe.
Fancy cup.
I want to tell you though, back before I quit creamer, okay, because I too have a strained relationship with coffee, which is I got to know how many I'm having
Yep.
before I even start, or I'll drink 12 and I'll have heart palpitations.
Are you one of those cool guys that go straight black?
Well, I as one of the deals I made myself like 4 years ago, I was like only in the morning, and then it became, well, you can have another cup around noon if you don't use creamer. So silly these.
Got it.
And then so I wanted that second cup bad enough that I started drinking it, and then slowly I was like, you know what, I'm good with this. But when I still was using creamer, I used that powder creamer.
And you were happy with it?
I really like it. It's a Coffee Mate product.
I was using the French vanilla Coffee Mate for years, which is what that is.
I think that's original. I don't want
That's original. No, that's not vanilla. That's original. Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
okay,
yes,
okay.
yes. I was using the vanilla.
Oh, right.
I stopped using the liquid just because I read what was in it, and it is. There's not one thing.
Is it palm oil or something?
Palm oil, partially hydrogenated soybean oil,
motor oil.
jizz.
Axle.
They added jizz.
Yeah.
The only organic
natural
byproduct.
ingredient.
I'd take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything organic.
So, but now, what if you don't have a game plan for coffee? What will you do? Well, let me back up. Do you have any trouble sleeping?
I don't, because I do enjoy a little bit of the now newly legal marijuana.
Marijuana.
I might take a little blueberry.
What's a blueberry?
It's like a dried blueberry that they dip in chocolate that has pot in it.
Get the fuck
I gotta
out.
tell you, it's a lovely way to finish the night. I put on the pod. Right. I lay in bed with my wife. I have a great night's sleep. I don't hear the kids screaming and crying.
Right.
And I wake up and I'm still really tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do I do have to take a little bit to go to sleep, because otherwise my head is just like a maelstrom. It's always just thinking of 20 million things, and if I don't have a little bit of a help
Sure.
at the end of the night,
Yeah.
to me, I'll just
need
lay
to-
in bed and make my wife crazy.
You need to pull like a hoodie over your ears.
Yes.
A metaphorical hoodie.
Yeah.
And what time will you take the blueberry?
Well, I don't know about you guys. We have to go to bed really early now, just because
Us
of
too.
life. So I'd like to pop that bad boy by 9:30.
9:30.
I'll tell you guys, if it's a Friday, I'll take 2. I don't care.
Right.
I'm crazy.
You're
So
nuts.
bottoms up 9:30.
Bottoms up 9:30. By 10, I have just this wonderful light feeling where I'm very funny with my wife, and before you know it, I'm just in a deep REM.
Oh wow, that sounds
It's-
heavenly.
It's kind of lovely. It kind of is.
And does your wife partake? She doesn't.
She does No, she doesn't. She used to a while ago, but she doesn't
And
anymore.
not to get too personal, we just met 9 minutes ago in
Yeah.
the driveway. But will you make love sometimes on that blueberry?
I have. It is. I don't know if you guys find it's hard to do that at the end of the night.
Oh,
You're just so
yeah, with
tired,
the
and the kids.
kids.
It's kind of like more of like a, hey, it's Saturday afternoon. The kids are watching Paw Patrol. Can I talk to you for 7 minutes?
Yes, exactly.
We have a quick 7-minute conversation. It's really that. Like the end of the night thing it's very
That
hard to
ship
do.
sailed.
Daddy's tired.
Yeah.
Daddy's tired.
Yeah.
A long day.
It might not ever return either, because by the time you're not going to be totally kaput, as the Germans would say at the end of the night, das ist sehr kaputt, you'll be even older.
Yeah.
Right.
But
You're
then
like 10 years out.
Viagra. Is there anything worse for old women than Viagra? Oh, because now they're like in the commercials they're like, yes, my husband. But in the reality, it's like they don't really want like a guy with a 9-hour boner, an old man especially.
Priapus.
Yeah, it's not good. No, priapism's not good.
I couldn't agree with you more. And in fact, many years ago, maybe 7 years ago, I wrote a cartoon called Brave Old World. And it was I wrote it in response to hearing an NPR news story that Lake Okeechobee, Florida was the highest fastest spreading STD rate in the country.
All the seniors.
And right. It's because all these seniors are now on Viagra and there was zero sex ed training. They don't know about condoms.
Can't get pregnant.
Can't get pregnant. Yeah, what do they care? They're pump and dump all day long.
Just a bunch of old folks with cold sores on their lip walking around the rec center.
Playing shuffleboard, like, yeah, a ton of pain downstairs.
Yeah, it's not good.
But to your point, I just thought, well, I got excited. I went the optimist route with it, which is like your retirement used to blow. You'd go to that community and you're just tired and all this stuff. But now you could be shooting HGH. You could be doing Viagra. You could be doing testosterone replacement. Like you could be at the prime of your life.
But it still looks weird. Like when I'm on an airplane and I read like the In-Flight magazine and you see like a 64-year-old man with like white hair, but he's like jacked and has abs.
I know exactly the guy you're talking about. Let me ask you a question. Is he wearing blue jeans?
Yes, he's wearing jeans.
Yeah.
He's shirtless with jeans and he's like friggin' he looks like Tom Hardy. But with this like Mike Pence face.
I'd go even further and say he looks like Popeye. Like he looks like a cartoon character.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm just like, you should, I don't know, at that point you should really just be like, you know, quietly watching golf or honey, let's order some more Werther's originals.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you shouldn't be doing like reverse oblique crunches when you're 68.
Maxing out like heavy. When you're 90, you shouldn't have a heavy day.
Yeah, listen, over 70, no more drop sets.
Do you know that bodybuilder Kai?
Yeah,
Did you watch that Netflix documentary?
No, was it called? I heard, someone was telling me about that.
It couldn't be Generation Iron.
Generation Iron, yeah.
I urge you to watch it because I will say, I kind of say this a lot, but I stand by this one. I think the funniest 30 seconds of anything I've ever seen in my life. There is one bodybuilder in the show, and he is very unconventional. He works out very violently, and he's injured himself quite often, right? And he is literally in the middle of a questionnaire where they say to him, a lot of your opponents are saying you're going to get injured before the big show. He goes, no way, not happening. Not with the, he goes into this.
I saw this.
You saw this?
I did see this documentary. Now that I think about it, and he gets hurt.
He gets on a, well, no, he gets on a horse.
Yes.
Listen, you're a writer. I'm a writer. I would never be brazen enough to write his speech and then say he gets on a horse and trots off and fucking breaks everything. And he's so muscular.
I know.
That when he hits
falls,
the ground, it's like watching someone drop a huge safe off the back of a truck. Like the way it bounces is so disturbing. Everything shattered, broke, tendons snapped.
He was such a, I don't know, he might be a nice guy in the movie. The movie came off as such a dick the first hour of the
real
movie.
aggro blowhard.
Real aggro blowhard. I love any work. I loved Pumping Iron.
Oh,
not
yes.
to pimp you into your impression, but the greatest moment is when he goes, you get the pump. It's like coming,
Yes.
And how lucky am I get to come in the gym all day and then come home at night and come again?
Yes. All day you're coming. Yeah,
he's going to be the governor one day.
He said that for real?
Oh, yeah. Yes, he's in the documentary. And he's like, a lot of people want to know what the pump is like. And they'll tell them it's just like that great feeling, and you're coming. So then when you're in the gym, you're having the feeling of a coming. Then you're walking down the street to home and you're coming. And then you're in your house and you're coming. It's just the greatest feeling.
I get to come all day. How lucky am I? He said well,
first and foremost,
brilliant
even
movie.
if you're not into muscles like I am, I'm shamelessly.
My wife like looks at my Instagram and it's either like pictures of like a cheeseburger or like a giant dude doing squats.
Oh yeah, I follow a lot of sites that are just clearly gay. They're gay Instagram
gay
accounts.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, me too.
These one's called Jocks something, and it's all these NFL guys doing like running 40s in like tight shorts, and you can see their penises flopping around, and I fucking love it. I love it so much. It's the weirdest thing for me. But Pumping Iron is just a very well-made documentary.
It's bits of it. They really just
Or I think it's called a docudrama. There's some writing in it and whatnot, but I'm obsessed with Schwarzenegger. Yeah. And I was lucky enough to become friends with him.
Oh my God.
And just a 2-second account of that. I got invited to ride motorcycles. Tom Arnold's like, hey, hey, buddy, let's go ride motorcycles. The governor's going to be in town. We'll meet at 5 o'clock. And it hangs up. I'm like, wait, where are we meeting? So I meet at like 5 in the morning at the corner of PCH and Sunset. And this is while he's still the governor. I show up. There's like Suburbans, the full security detail. And then like 8 of us ride motorcycles up to the Rock store. We have breakfast. And I go to the bathroom. I come back. And when I sit down, Schwarzenegger goes, Dax, seen the punked, I've seen the without a paddle. You're hilarious. You're really talented. And in my mind, I'm like, this is impossible. Schwarzenegger's seen punked and without a paddle, and I am floating. I don't even hear what's said the rest of the breakfast, right? So the breakfast ends, we go to get back on the motorcycles, and I say to Tom Arnold, I'm like, how about Schwarzenegger knows all my shit? He goes, oh, buddy, as soon as you went to the bathroom, he's like, who the fuck is this guy? Who brought this guy? And so Tom told him, oh, he's really funny. He's on this. He literally just repeated.
Give me some info on this fucking Dax. Who is this boy?
So at that breakfast, I did my impersonation of him, right? And then 10 days later, the phone rings and I go, hello. And I hear a woman. She goes, hi, please hold for the governor.
Oh, my God.
Oh, okay. You know, who's fucking with me? And sure enough, Dax, I really enjoyed meeting you at the breakfast the other day. You know, I'm about to do some fundraising. I'd love it if you could come out on stage and introduce me and do your impersonation of me. I think people would love it. And I go, oh, and back then I was a libertarian. I've since changed, but I go, oh, Arnold, that's so flattering. I'd love to do that, but I can't because you're a Republican. I'm a libertarian. He goes, me too. I go, what? He goes, I'm a libertarian too. I just had to run for the Republican Party on the platform, but I'm a libertarian like you. Anyways, I said, fuck it. And I'd start going and I would go on stage and bring him out at like rallies and shit. And at one point I was invited to roast him like for some charity thing. And all I did was read from his book.
What's his book called?
An education of a bodybuilder. It's a phenomenal read. Please read it. I'll give you my copy.
I will.
Because he's so brazen in it. He's like, he writes it in 1968. So all he's done is one Mr. Universe thing. He's like, I'm done with that. And now I'm going to get in the show business and become the biggest movie star in the world. Like his power of positive thinking.
He's the most driven person ever. Yeah.
Ever. So anyways, I would read a passage of him and Franco, who was his buddy.
Sure.
His short little buddy, Franco.
From Pumping Iron.
Yep. They would go in the woods and lift weights naked. And it is by far the gayest passage you've ever read in your life. It's like, Franco and I would really get the pump. We'd eat fresh meat and drink wine and be naked like old barbarians from Roman times. And I'm like, and I would pause every now and then. I go, this isn't even metaphorical anymore. Like, I think you just said you were pumping Franco naked in the whatever. I hijacked the fuck out of that, but I thought you would enjoy that story.
Oh, God,
but have you always loved muscles? Like when you were a kid, did you?
No, I didn't care about it so much. I mean, I loved Schwarzenegger when I was a kid. I loved Commando. When Commando came out, I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest movie ever. You know, just him killing like 200 men slowly.
How about those weird twins, though, that were in DC Cab and they were also had their own like Conan style.
The Paul brothers.
Is that what
Mark Paul and
look at you?
I'm kind of like strangely with movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever played the movie game?
Oh.
So you know you played it.
Yeah.
So name any movie.
Thief.
So I would now have to name an actor from Thief, right?
Okay.
So I could say James Caan, but I'm going to say Jim Belushi. So now you have to name a movie that Jim Belushi is in.
Oh, and I don't know anybody to see. I'm the worst.
First of all, the fact that you don't know Jim Belushi
I know
is
Jim
good. No, it's good. It makes you good.
Well, I know him, but I don't know anyone.
So if you can't name it, then you get a letter like horse. So it's M, and you spell movie.
Oh, I love this.
This is a game that dominated a lot of sets that I've been on in my life. And I've found some people that are incredible at it. It's a great game. And for some reason, I just like loved movies so much as a kid and would watch movies over and over again and read books about movies and read like Roger Ebert's big, thick movie book. And I just, in my brain, I could tell you, I could go 4 or 5 deep on call sheets for films I've seen once or never seen.
That's an incredible.
Yeah. It's incredible,
savant.
incredibly useless.
Well, not in your business.
Yeah, you're playing this game a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, I wish you could book roles based off trivia.
Well, I'll tell you how it could manifest itself is you establish yourself as someone who knows a lot about film, and then weirdly your opinion on whatever scene you're about to film, it goes up a bracket.
Go up a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's not I've never seen a movie.
And then I just make it up.
But I think we should shoot from...
are these frames right? Just say something that sounds vaguely. I don't know about this light.
This fill light.
Bullshit.
Wait, I thought you were talking about the game where you say an actor. I feel like a lot of writers' rooms play this, where there's an actor and then you have to figure out the 4 movies on their IMDb that pop up on their IMDb, and
that's
it's
cool.
not what it's never the 4 you would immediately expect.
So it's a little bit of a random element to it.
Yes, and no one can figure out the algorithm.
Then I don't like that.
But there's some algorithm and no one knows what it is.
It's probably the 4 biggest box office hits they've.
Well, that would be my guess, but I think what Monica's saying is that it's not.
Sometimes there's a random.
Maybe there's like an award nominated movie that gets in there or something. Do you know Doug Benson, that comedian?
I do. I'm actually doing Doug's podcast next month. He's another one of those guys who knows like everything.
He does. And he plays a very fun game on stage where he basically opens up the Leonard Maltin. And he'll go to a movie, let's say Thief, and he starts reading backwards. So it's a clump of actors, right? And they're getting less and less known as you get towards the end of the paragraph. So he starts backwards, and it's who can get the movie.
I like that.
As you ascend.
It's almost like Name That Tune, but with the movie. Remember Name That Tune? I used to watch Name That Tune when I was a boy.
Sure.
I like that game. I can go very deep. I could even tell you in Thief, I believe his girlfriend was Tuesday Weld.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other bodyguard in his first movie ever was Dennis Farina.
Yeah, who was a real life Chicago cop.
Can I blow your mind right now?
Yeah.
My uncle Bernie Feinstein passed away 3 years ago.
Okay.
He's just CPD for over 30 years. And
CPD,
Chicago Police Department.
Oh, okay.
Him and Farina were partners for 5 years.
Get the fuck out.
I got to hang out with Dennis a few times before he died.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
This is in the 70s?
They were partners in the 70s.
Were they getting
early 70s, I believe.
Were they getting their beaks wet and their fingers dirty? I mean, I have to imagine Chicago in the 70s, you were allowed to basically just be a gangster, right?
I want to tell you a story because both parties have passed away.
Thank God. I mean, I'm sorry, but thank God they've passed. Their fight is over.
This is a cool story. So I heard this from a Chicago cop, and we talked about Farina. It was at my uncle's funeral. And I was like, so were you close with Farina? He goes, this guy's, I don't want to say his name, but he's got this great Polish Chicago, tough as nails accent. He goes, I love Denny. Denny was a great guy. I loved him. His brother was a real piece of work, though. And I go, what was his day? He goes, he was on the other side of the fence. And I was like, he goes, yeah, he was a thief and he was a piece of shit. And, their dad was a dentist or a doctor or some shit. And the brother fucking broke into the office and stole a bunch of shit from the office. So I came in to fucking work the next day. I go in the locker room and I see Denny. He's loading a fucking machine gun. He's putting bullets in a clip. And I go, what are you doing? He goes, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to go fucking kill my brother.
Oh my God.
It was a different time, man.
Yeah.
It was crazy shit going on over there.
And maybe it's my own fantasy, but I do feel like basically there were just 2 gangs. One was the cops and one was the
gangsters.
And the gangsters. But what's the difference?
Oh my God, dude. It was crazy. At this memorial too, it was crazy. It was all these old cops in their 80s. A lot of whom were still smoking cigarettes. They were smoking like Durals. And fucking one guy, I couldn't believe it. My brother and I were just talking about it the other night. So it was like, it was one of those funeral homes where it like had like the main parking lot was on kind of like one level. And then like you went up some stairs to like the entrance of like the parlor. And one of the cops was so fucking old, it probably half in the bag. He just drove up the stairs.
Oh.
Parked his fucking car like in front of like the front door. Where us. So he's the only car anywhere near there, and it's like uphill. They have to call a tow truck. No one cares, man.
He was like a cow, right? You can walk a cow upstairs, but you can't walk it downstairs. They had to disassemble the cow or the car.
He was a reverse cow.
He was a reverse cow. I don't know what it says about me, but that appeals to me a lot. Being a dirty cop in the 70s.
Yeah.
Do you at all?
Yeah, I would love,
Like, especially
to make
like
a
in New
movie about
York.
that. Yeah, New York or even Chicago
Yeah,
too. Any
it's
big city
good.
in the 70s, even LA. You know, like,
Oh, yeah.
like I love that world. Any movie that's about dirty cops, like LA Confidential, I could just put that movie in my veins. I'll watch it over and over
Yes.
again. Serpico, I just love that world, man.
This always annoys Kristen about me. I'm like really drawn to Pablo Escobar, all these like cartel people and dirty cops. I love it.
Well, it's such a first of all, it's a very funny world because everyone's so amoral. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like even the cops are supposed to be looking out for us. They're just taking money and taking the
Sure.
dirty shit. So just the kind of nature of it's funny and it's just exciting and like sexy. It's so weird because I'm with you. I'm like I could watch a dirty cop movie or dirty cop show all day.
Also, I would imagine the rationale is so easy to follow. It's like you break into some apartment to grab some bad guys, and then there's $2 million of assholes' money. I can't imagine feeling morally, compromised by taking some asshole's money. It would be such an easy bridge for me to cross.
That was like Russell Crowe's big thing in American Gangster. They're like, you're the guy who returned $1 million. He's like, yeah. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Halfway through the movie too, someone calls him a kike, and I'm like, wait, he's Jewish? What?
I love those revelations in movies.
I love it.
Even Pacino in Carlito's Way.
Yeah. Did you ever hear the story about Pacino and Heat? You ever heard the story?
Maybe not.
So like Heat, right, is like this, seminal movie for a lot of guys, right?
Yeah.
Like, blew me away. But it's always been kind of a weird movie because half of it is incredible. The De Niro bank robbery stuff is amazing.
Fuck yeah.
So Pacino's always been crazy in that movie, right? He's like totally erratic and like, what do you want? What do you want? And it's like it's a bit of a turnoff sometimes because it's so fucking nuts, right? And someone told me the story. I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but they shot like 3 whole days of all Pacino stuff the first 3 days.
Okay.
And they shot these scenes where Pacino's character keeps doing cocaine.
Oh.
Like he's constantly snorting blow.
Sure.
Constant. And now when you think about it with context, it's a great choice that he did. A guy who's erratic and fucking crazy and a cop that has, all these complexes. Give me what you got. Give me what you got. Give me what you got. She got a great ass. It's just like, it's crazy without thinking that it makes perfect sense now. Brother, you are going down. Pacino is so crazy. There's Pacino spent like his first half of his career really talking like this, really kind of high. And then he just kind of turned completely crazy. I think Scent of Woman gave him so much positive reaffirmation for that. That he's like, I'm just going to kind of talk like, I found a new gear and I'm sticking with it.
Did you audition for SNL?
I did an audition for SNL.
I can guess why.
I wanted to,
Yeah.
but I
took
my TV.
Yep.
When I come from Chicago, and I
like that you said it like it was Harvard.
I come from Chicago, home of the sausage, home of obese people. But yeah, no, I was doing, a lot of improv in Chicago. I was doing Improv Olympics, Second City, and Annoyance Theater. And like every once a year, they would have like NBC or SNL scouts come and you would like die to get in that group. But I bolted and went to Amsterdam.
I read that for 2 years.
For 2 years. I went there for a couple of years and did this theater group called Boom Chicago. And it was this tiny little startup company. They started back in 93. And it was like 2 American guys who are backpacking through Europe. And they're like, hey, we love Amsterdam, but the comedy scene is horrible here.
It's whack.
It's whack. It's I think back then it was actually wiggity whack. And they were like, let's start like a Second City type theater.
So there was no relationship between the two.
No.
I weirdly thought that was some kind of.
They were just like, they picked Chicago because it has a connotation to comedy, and Boom because no one has any fucking idea why. It's the weirdest name. But and then by the time I got there in 99, it had really taken off, and it had turned into this like 300 seat dinner theater, and like we would get Dutch celebrity like Jan de Bont, the director, would come, and the prime minister. And
how about Van Damme? Did he ever run?
He never came. He was Brussels.
Oh, well,
I never came to see your show, but I wanted to come, but I couldn't come.
Great
Because
story.
I was doing
Can I
too
ask?
much of cocaine. Yes, go ahead.
I wanted to ask a follow-up question. So,
Go ahead.
So you're saying that you couldn't make it because you couldn't make it?
I couldn't make it because I couldn't be there, and I was shooting Double Strike 2. And I slipped and fell into a pile of blow.
Oh, okay.
But I wanted to come, and I will come next time.
Now, this injury you sustained, it's not. It's in no way a threat to your splits, is it?
No. I did the splits on the kitchen this morning.
On the kitchen.
Yeah, I do it every morning. I do the splits on the kitchen just to keep limber, to keep in shape. Muscles from Brussels.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
My friend Nate Tuck has probably the best Van Damme story ever. Nate Tuck, one of my best friends, he was a messenger, delivering scripts and shit early in his career, and he delivered one to Van Damme's house. And some like super hot babe answered in like a towel, and then she left, and then he rolled up to the door. And he like hands him his script or whatever, and then he hands him the clipboard to sign. And Van Damme is so annoyed that he's asked to sign this thing. And he starts by signing his name normal, and at the end he kind of gives it a flourish, and then he just starts fucking swirling the pen. Nate said he just fucking what's the juicer, the blender, the Vitamix, the fucking paper, and handed him the clipboard back like really forcefully. It just everything was shredded. All the previous deliveries were gone, and then he shut the door. And Nate was like at first bummed that he had shredded his whole board, but then like pumped he had the story.
It's a good story.
Yeah.
That's a good story.
Do you ever do that in real life where like something traumatic's happening and you click midway through and you're like, oh, this is a great story?
Oh, I just flew to New York a few weeks ago, and about 2 hours in the flight, I started getting like the feeling that I had food poisoning,
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit, oh, fuck, man. And then like another hour in, I'm starting to make this noise. And like everyone's looking. I'm in the first seat of the plane, and everyone's looking at me. And multiple people on the plane, they gave me the look like, so I'm now going like, and the flight attendants, God bless them, are like bringing me cold compresses, and the whole time I'm like, I just can't puke because puking in the little bag is not an option for me because I am a violent vomiter and I have a big mouth, and I know that I will get residual spray, which is like that's the nightmare.
It'll be like one of those
nightmares.
dye pack bombs going on.
Yes, like little nails. And like if I was on a plane and someone vomited and it got on me, no matter how many times they could fucking buy me a Mercedes, and I would still be like, I don't want anything to do with you.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to maintain and hold on. And as we are landing, this flight attendants are buckled in. I can't take it, and I get out and I run to the cockpit, which appropriately people go, oh, because it's a big man running to the cockpit as we're landing.
Yeah.
And I bust into the bathroom and close the door. And first of all, I'm a large man, and getting in the vomit position in the bathroom is not possible. Because also like you can't have any of that splashback in the toilet, because then unfortunately you do have to kill yourself. Yes. And so now I'm violently vomiting, and I'm standing at like the everyone's deplaning.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
It's a logistical and anatomical question. Were you able to shut the door behind you?
I was able to shut the door behind me.
Okay.
And
I'm picturing your ankles hanging out of the. Like you're on your knees and I just see your shoes and hear like a grizzly bear being strangled to death.
No, I'm on my knees with the doors closed, and I'm doing like a makeshift goblet squat where I'm just like holding the side of the bowl. And I could hear them all deplaning. So they're like,
this went all the way through the landing.
Like it was going on for at least 10 minutes. So I would hear people being like, this is the wall, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us. And then everyone on the plane is like, oh, blockers. That guy had diarrhea on a plane I was on. And I'm like, oh, great. God. But my point is, while it was happening, I was like, this could be a good panel story.
Yeah. Okay, but back to Amsterdam.
Yes.
Is my fantasy of your life accurate? Are
Yes.
you got to do something for 2 hours a day? That's your whole commitment. And brother, let me tell you, something, brother.
You are going down. I was 22. Never been to Europe.
By the way, you were in the mood to fuck every night. Unlike now, you were always up.
It is a miracle I'm still standing.
Yeah.
And but no, it was also just like
spiritual.
It was spiritual. I learned a lot about old Europe. I saw some of the greatest artists of all time.
Went to Anne Frank's house twice a week.
I went to Anne Frank's house every day. Which is, for the record, it's roomy. It's roomier than I thought. I'm Jewish, so I can make that joke. Send your angry tweets to Dax. But we also had a great crew then. We had Josh Myers and Seth. I replaced Seth Myers, and his brother Josh and I were in the cast together. And
who you were then also on Mad TV.
I was on Mad TV with this great lady named Liz Kakowski, who's a writer, Jordan Peele, Jason Sudeikis, Kay Cannon. We had a really fun group of people there. And it was great. We would do like you said, we'd have to do like a 90-minute show a night. And sometimes we would just like travel and go do corporate shows, but it was also like, it was just like pre 9/11. We were still on the guilder. So it was 2 guilders to the dollar. So everything seemed half off.
Oh, wow.
And like, we were just like, oh, it's a Sunday afternoon. Oh, let's go to that store right there that legally sells mushrooms. They legally sell them. And let's go to the park and trip for like 10 hours. And it was the best.
My God. If I had a time machine, I could go back to before it was destructive.
Yeah.
I think I'd choose to spend 2 years in Amsterdam.
Luckily, like the Jewish gene in me, for some reason, I don't know why, but like always stopped me from going all the way, except for with pot. Pot's like the one thing, but with booze, like if I go out and get hammered, like the last thing I want for months is booze. There's Jackie Mason had a joke where he's like, this is back when he was not completely insane, but he's like, after the show's over, every single Gentile in this audience is going to say the same thing. Drink. Want to go get a drink? Drink. Let's go to drink. Let's go to the bar. Let's get a drink. Every Jew is going to say the same thing. Did you eat yet? And it's like, it's true. Like Jews just don't. We're just not, and I'm only like technically like half Jewish because my mom converted.
And traditionally, right, you need mom.
That's why I can say I'm Jewish, because my mom converted before I was born. But before, yeah. But she comes from that kind of Irish stock, so I have it in the Chicago. But the Jew part of my genes kind of just shut off that one part of the addiction receptor for everything but weed. It's weird.
Yeah. My brother converted to Judaism. Neither parent Jewish, but
did he marry?
No, and in fact, he married a Chaldean. Chaldeans are Christian Iraqis.
Okay.
We have a huge population of them in Michigan.
Got it.
Suffice to say, they are not Jewish.
Right.
And so neither member Jewish, and they converted.
Were you Upper Peninsula?
No.
Were you?
On the UP?
Yeah, UP.
Ya to the UP.
Yeah.
There's if you're not from Michigan, there's bumper stickers everywhere that say ya to the UP.
It's a different state.
It's not only a different state, it's a different country. Like you feel like you're in Holland or something. You're like, what? This is so unique.
Yeah, it's
like there's this thing called Foster's Island principle in biology, and it's if birds end up on an island, they all become flightless.
Yep.
And all mammals that go to an island will become miniature. This is just a rule. So there's some kind of Foster's Island principle about that peninsula that's just it's very interesting.
Yeah, miniature. Like
yes, all mammals. Yes, so like if you even go to the Channel Islands right off the coast of California here, they have in the archaeological record miniature mammoths that were the size of a cow.
Really?
Yes, and there are pygmy hippotami that are the size of pigs that made it to islands off the coast of Africa. And birds become bigger and flightless. So there was a bird in Madagascar that is related to the ostrich. It was called the elephant bird, and it was 1,000-pound bird.
Wow. I saw that in the film Madagascar. Yeah, sure, I believe that was voiced by Chris Rock.
The elephant bird? I didn't see Madagascar.
No, Chris Rock was the...
He's usually a zebra, I think.
He was the zebra. Ben Stiller was the lion. I just watched it like a month ago, I feel like, but I fell asleep. And it wasn't like I watched it like Saturday night at 8 o'clock and had a beer. It was like my daughter wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
So
totally. Anywho, so is there any point when you're in Amsterdam where an alarm clock goes off and you go, "This is a little too fun. I need to. It's time to move on."
100%. I have a writing partner who's my best friend for many years, Dave Stassen. And
From high school,
from
maybe?
high school. Actually, we went to camp together.
That's so
I mean,
cool.
we've been friends for
Another
30 plus
Jewish
years.
thing. Jewish kids go to camp.
We do go to camp, even though David is decidedly not Jewish.
Okay.
I don't know why I said decidedly, because that assumes he's like anti-Semitic, which he's definitely not. But he's just, you look at him and you're like, oh no, you're not Jewish.
But also a Holocaust denier, isn't he?
He does. He has a
Okay.
couple times.
Okay.
I've worked on that with him. He's going to hear this and be like, hey, like I used to do this joke where we would walk into pitch meetings and I would make a Nazi reference to Dave. This was before when Nazis were like safe because they weren't real anymore.
Right.
And like I'd make like the same old hacky jokes where I'd be like, no jokes about, the Holocaust. Dave's, grandfather died there. He fell off of a guard tower. Like that. It's like all those old jokes and shit. And one day we were in a room with
I know I've heard that, but I feel like that's the
That's
first
so
time I've
great.
ever heard that.
but we were in a room with
off a guard
what's his name? Oh my God, Brian Grazer, right? Like we're pitching this movie to Brian Grazer, and I make like some kind of Nazi joke, and afterwards Dave's like, stop fucking making Nazi jokes to Jewish executives who don't know who I am. And I'm like, all right, so I got the note. So we've brought it up again. But my best friend, he's my partner, and we always had like these like aspirational, notions of moving to LA and working in movies and writing movies and stuff. And at Boom Chicago, I became such good friends with Seth and his brother and their other friend Jill that we were like, let's go to LA together. And there was also a bit where I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
I'm like going out to nightclubs a little too much and listening to a little too much house music and maybe doing a little too much. Back then they called it ecstasy, but now it's called Molly. MDMA, pure MDMA.
Well,
Do you have any ecstasy? What? This is MDMA. Get the fuck out, Grandpa. Okay.
That is where it was all being manufactured in the late 90s.
It was
pure,
safe.
right?
You could take it to a club and they would have little stands where they would test it for you.
No.
Yes, it was.
Oh my God.
It was incredible. It was very safe and everything. But it was just like at a certain point you have to leave there.
Did you get the Tuesday suicidal feelings or no?
Oh fuck yeah! I would get the blues pretty bad. You know, you just feel.
That was even in the height of my addiction. That was the one drug I had to quit, even still as a drug addict.
Yeah.
Because my tolerance went up so quickly for that drug.
Yeah.
That I would take like 7 in a Saturday night. Oof. And then the next 3 days, I just want to fucking
just draining your serotonin wholesale.
It's gone.
Man. It's gone. Yeah. So it was just that and just kind of, wanting
Although can I ask you another personal question?
Please.
Did you ever make love on ecstasy?
I did.
And could you explain that experience? Because mine, I have a very specific.
Some friends of mine had problems with that.
Oh, okay.
But for me, my only problem was it ended.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was, I tend to think that if there's a drug that you could take or a pill that you could take that can make like some felt material feel good. Imagine what fucking's gonna feel like.
Yes. And for me too, my staying power was off the charts.
Yeah.
It was nearly impossible to climax, which you didn't even need to climax.
Unless you take too much and your head starts spinning a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this feels so good. Oh, this feels so good. I need to call my grandmother tomorrow morning. I'm going to call my grandmother at 9 a.m. and apologize. I stole $10 from her in 1990. And
that's how all my mushroom trips became towards the end, where it was like 4 hours of laughing and then 2.5 hours of a fierce moral inventory of every girl I've ever been terrible to. And I would be composing letters the last 2 hours of my apologies. I'm a bad son. I'm a bad grandson, a bad boyfriend. But my favorite part of ecstasy, to me, when I hit the sweet spot, was when you get that clicky vision where it's like I'm looking at you and then I glance over to Monica, but instead of it being a nice stream, it goes click, 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 and I follow these shutter. Yeah. Which I found a lot of my friends would experience that too. Yeah. Did you ever get that nice clicky vision?
Just like, that was, to me, like it was always done around music. You know what I mean? And there's a reason why people do it. Music.
Jamiroquai. I don't know that I would ever love Jamiroquai.
Let me tell you, there was an emergency on planet Earth, and it was fucking at the nightclub. But oh god, that was the best time too. It was like Daft Punk was getting big, and the Chemical Brothers released "Surrender," which is like the greatest fucking electric album. Oh my god, dude! energy response. It was just so fucking good. So I would,
But back to the lovemaking. Can I just say,
Yes.
the couple times I did it, I literally had this moment, like out of body, where I was like, I'm in a pornographic movie.
Yes.
Like, this is what being in a porno is like.
I feel like I'm in a porno every time I have sex.
You do?
Yeah, well, mostly because I have a fluffer around.
And it's well lit.
And it's well lit, and it's in the valley always.
Always have sex in the valley.
Yeah, and it's financed by, Russian mafia. Yeah. No, yeah, I did. I had a couple friends that were like, I can't do it. It's too crazy. But I was like, I have no problems with it.
Yeah. So you left there, you go to LA. How quickly after you land in LA do you audition for Mad TV?
Oh, God. Not for a while. I had that. I don't know about you, but I had like hell year and a half or hell 2 years, my first stint in LA. Or
I had hell decade.
You had hell decade. When did you move to LA?
I did not work until I was 28.
But so yeah, I moved here and couldn't even get a fucking job waiting tables.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's friend was the assistant GM of Morton's. He was like, go to Morton's and just tell them I sent you and they'll give you a job as a server. And I was like, great. So I went over there and the manager at the restaurant was like, do you have any experience? I was like, no. He's like, you're not working here. I go, well, I'll bus. He goes, no, you won't. You don't even have busing experience. Get the fuck out. So then I called my dad's friend again. I was like, hey, it didn't work out there. He goes, well, have you tried the Palm? And I was like, no. He goes, go to the Palm, tell him you're friends with Walter McClure.
Can I just say something really quick? He's basically advising you, like, go meet Spielberg.
Yeah, the fanciest restaurants in Los Angeles.
How about CBK? That's where I got a job. Fucking, they're burning through people every hour. They need to fill that machine.
I'll never forget. My dad told me, he's like, always wear a jacket to a job interview, no matter what the job is, which is, I think, great advice.
Sure.
And so I remember, I'll never forget, I put on a blazer, my only blazer I had, and I went over to the Palm when it used to be on Little Santa Monica, kind of near Dan Tana's. And I went there. Dan Tana's. Fucking Dan Tana's. So I'm at Dan Tana's with Farina. He's got a fucking shotgun. And I walked in at like 12:30 p.m., which is the lunch rush. And the GM was there and he was very flustered. And I go, hello, I would like a application. And he
Great
goes,
time.
He literally goes, you came now? And I go, yes. And he goes, okay. And I go, I'm friends with Walter McClure. And he goes, you're friends with Walter McClure? And I go, yeah. He goes, the CEO of Palm International. It was literally like the Abe Froman from fucking Ferris Bueller. And I was like, yes, I'm friends with Walter. He goes, okay, well, fill out the application. I go, sir, I think I said to him, I go, could I sit at the bar? He goes, no, we're a customer. I was soul crushing. So eventually.
By the way,
Yeah.
I mean, if there were proof that you did not belong there, it's the fact that you came at rush hour. I mean, that was everything.
It's everything. Like an idiot. I had no idea, no experience.
I would go, oh, this guy knows absolutely nothing about a restaurant.
just
He's
get
never
out of
even
here.
been to one. He doesn't even know when it's busy. He's never eaten
These
at one,
people are
much less
customers
worked
and
at one.
they come at certain times. You came at the wrong time. So then it was like a telemarketer and
What product were you selling?
we were selling
Or a service?
business journals. So this was over on 5455 Wilshire Boulevard. And I would call and I would do that horrible thing of like wherever I was calling, like put on an accent. Like if I was calling Tupelo, I'd be like, good morning, how are you? Just I was calling on behalf of the Tupelo Business Journal and I want to see y'all signed up last year, but you didn't sign up this year. I wanted to get you all doing that whole fucking thing.
Really?
Yeah, and it was
really quick.
Yeah.
Just on your own accord,
Yeah, for
or were you
fun.
encouraged?
No, on my own accord because I saw everyone else doing it and I was like, why not connect with them? And I got caught a couple times. People like, where are you calling from? And I'd be like, well, where am I? We're on Sherman Avenue. He's like, there ain't no Sherman Avenue. And I'd be like, yeah, all right. It was also a terrible place to work. The people who worked there were fucking awful. And there was like a fist fight broke out one day.
Ooh, I would love that.
It was very scary though. But I had a guy who was like, he's like, don't put anything in your desk. Like, don't leave anything. And you would put like a big pen in the desk and go to the bathroom. Gone. And then I noticed every day at like 3:30, the women in the office would leave and we would have to stay till 4:30. And I finally was like, I go, why is that? And he goes, oh, they have to go back to jail. Because they were on a work release, and the woman who was my supervisor, she committed vehicular homicide, and she was like my boss. And I was like, yeah. So eventually, thank God, I did get a busing job at Morton's.
I worked with some work release guys at Big Boys in Milford, Michigan. The whole cook staff was on work release.
Yeah.
And a thing that they thought was so funny was I would ride my Spree moped to work at 12 years old in the winter, and they would occasionally have to empty all the fat.
From the grill and stuff.
Yeah, they did this big vat of fat, and they would take it up to this fat dump.
The Michigan fat dump.
Yes, and they stopped and greased up my whole seat of my Spree with animal fat. And it was already winter, and I get on this thing. Now I'm riding a greased up chicken on icy roads. They're lucky they didn't go back. No wonder these guys, they wanted to kill me.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You're going to fight them?
Also,
12-year-old.
Yes, and I felt threatened around them.
Yeah.
Because I was a young prepubescent boy.
I worked in a restaurant when I was 12 too, with a bunch of tough guys, and it was scary.
Did you have to get your assistant principal to sign a thing? Because I had to go get
it was summer job.
Oh, summer
job.
Okay.
I worked at a little place near a public golf course in Chicago where they cooked food, and I would do I started off just dishwashing, but by the end I was 12. I was working the fucking grill.
Sure.
It was crazy because the guys would all go out and play soccer in the field. They'd be like, "You got the grill, right?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I guess." So I give people these fucked up Denver omelets.
And did they? Because I at 14 I went to work at a place that built race cars. This place, Sports Fab. And it was all 35-year-old mechanics, and their sense of humor was so scary to me.
Yeah.
It was all sexual.
Yes.
Every time I went to the bathroom, what are you going to go in there and fucking jack your dick? There was titty magazines and stuff by the toilet. And it just, I was like, oh my goodness, no, what? And mind you, I was jacking my dick in there because there was porno mags, and I had no access to them at that age. But boy, did they scare me. And a lot of gay jokes towards me that they wanted to fuck me and stuff. It was so overwhelming.
I'm glad you're not working there anymore.
But it did quickly advance my sense of humor, and then I got very comfortable with that stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I think we're the same age, and when we came up, comedy was pretty harsh, man. It was Eddie Murphy and Sam Kinison, a lot of stuff you go back and listen now, you're like, but still, it was it was super funny, and it was just very aggressive comedy.
Yes. Now you eventually get on Mad TV. Is that your first big job?
Oh my God. It was I was 24-ish, and a couple of the vets had left. Will Sasso had left, and Alex Borstein, Emmy nominee Alex Borstein left. And they hired Josh and I. And it was my life went from being pretty brutal to amazing that.
Yeah, paycheck every week.
Yeah, and it was late night money, but still great.
Compared to fucking busboy money.
I mean, it's night and day. I had a guy too at the restaurant tell me, he goes, "I heard you got Mad TV." He goes, "Can I give you a piece of advice? Keep a couple shifts here a week." And I said, I can't do that. What if I'm taping or something? I can't, I couldn't do that. But yeah.
Someone else just had that same story, Monica. Who? Lillard. He went to quit his restaurant job when he got Serial Mom, and they were like, "You're an idiot. Don't quit."
I had that. I had that for sure. But yeah, we did that, and it was fun. It was a huge.
Can I ask a really quick question?
Yeah.
Did you like me just idolize SNL? And,
yes.
So was there any duality to the decision where it's God, I'm so grateful to be on the show, but now I've permanently signed.
No, at the time, zero.
Oh, that's great.
Because the reality was I would see a little bit of Mad TV here and then, but I loved SNL, right? And again, one of the best eras of SNL, I think, was that kind of high school at 92, 93, Dana Carvey, Mike Myers.
Yes,
I love that. So I loved SNL, but the thought of even getting to SNL, I didn't even know that route, but Mad TV made me the offer, and I was like, great. There was not 1 minute of I'm going to hold out for something else. Cause I was like, great. It's a show that's going to let me do sketches. And they really Mad TV really welcomed me. I remember they saw me and Josh Myers do a 2-man show, and they bought a bunch of the sketches. And our first live taping, we shot 2 or 3 sketches that I wrote. And it was I was like, oh, this is fucking great. Yes. I am so happy here. And that lasted about 2 years.
Yeah, of course.
And then I started getting annoyed and
aren't we the worst?
We are the worst. My frustration with Mad TV was always, the problem with it is this, and I'll be very blunt and very honest, and I'm not trying to hurt feelings here, is that the genesis of SNL has always been from Lorne Michaels, right? It's always been his mind and his taste and his POV. No matter who is the head writer or who's the cast, Lorne really is. Yeah. And Lorne is just like a comedy genius. He just
he's a little wizard.
is. He's a wizard. And Mad TV was owned by a guy who's a really nice guy and a smart executive. He ran Lorimar back in the 80s, but he's not a comedy guy. But he
drank the Kool-Aid.
He drank the Kool-Aid and wanted to be, I think, a little bit of that. And the problem with, first of all, I always was annoyed that Mad TV was on Saturday nights. Every year I'd be like, can I make a suggestion? Can we be on Fridays? And they would get fucking mad and be like, stop suggesting that. And I was like, but you're splitting your audience.
Yeah.
Because this is before TiVo.
By the way, I probably would have given Mad TV a chance.
If it was on another night, I was like, we were asking people to choose. And when I come to realize that I think the original impetus for Mad TV was this, let's take down SNL, which is not really cool. But so
let's take down something that has zero detractors and enemies and nothing but love.
A national institution
it's like 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
Let's launch a news program.
61 minutes. We have one more minute. So that was a problem. And then also too is just like I was always like because we had great writers on that show and really good actors, man. We had some, Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key and Michael McDonald and Nicole Parker and like all these really funny.
Getting real hot under the collar right now.
Why? For
Jordan
Peele?
I love him.
Oh. He's a really good friend of mine.
Oh.
I just texted with him a couple days ago. I haven't heard back. But he's busy. He's shooting a movie. But I know when he wraps, let him decompress for a week or so, 10 days, go on vacation. When he comes back, I know I'll be getting a text being like, what's up, man? But anyways, we had this creatively, we had this really great group. And I felt like we would constantly try playing SNL's game where we would get guests. And like every once in a while we get like a cool guest. But a lot of times it was like, and so I would get frustrated at that, and I would say
because they would end up taking up a bunch of real estate that they shouldn't.
And it was all selfish. It was all me being selfish.
Yeah.
But also too, I was also like, let's not. And I would give this note to SNL too. Like, don't do if you find a sketch that hits, your instinct is to do 5 right away, and it's like, and I know that's how SNL they really kind of became SNL with the Coneheads and stuff. I get the model, but I was always on Mad TV. It's like, we don't have to do that. We could do crazy new shit every week, but it was the same. It was turning the same thing every week. Yeah. This character, this stock character, and I don't have. I'm not like a groundling.
Right.
Those groundlings are so amazing and they could just take anything and be like, well, I'm John Peterson. And like, they're just fucking, they're freaks like that. And I'm more built to be like the straight man, UCB, Second City, IO. So I struggled in that area. And I was always surprised that I lasted that long on the show. I always thought I would get fired every year. So
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert if you dare.
So you at a certain point at the end of a 5-year contract, you could have re-upped and you chose.
No, my contract was up and it was so embarrassing too. I was living with my wife who was still my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, they're going to want me back for that 6th season. And I got to tell you, I'm ready to do my own shit. So if they want me, they're going to have to show me the money. This was 2005, so you can still quote Trey McGuire. But they showed me no money. Okay. Quite literally zero. Uh-huh. And it was, I remember too, my wife had taken me for my birthday to the Aspen Food and Wine Festival, the Food and Wine Festival in Aspen. She took me to this fancy, we were at a hotel, and to find out like all of a sudden I didn't have a job, I was like, oh shit. But then I was still kind of confident because I was like, I know that.
You got some tape.
I got a great reel going. And I'm just going to pivot right into being the number 1, maybe the number 2 on a sitcom that'll be, last a few years, and then we'll figure it out. And I just like walked. Have you ever seen The Road? The movie The Road?
The McCormack book turned into
remember
a
when
movie?
Charlize walks out, she just like leaves and walks into the whatever the fuck is going on, the abyss. That's what I walked into. And I, for about 3 years, that was definitely, it was much harder those 3 years than the first 2 years, because, someone said, it's worse to have money than lose it than never have it. And I don't know if that's true, but it fucking sucked because
Yeah,
people
I would
sometimes people would know you.
I'd argue it is worse because you lose your skill set. Like
do.
I was great at living broke. Like
Yeah.
it was
Yes.
never a problem. I lived for 10 years on $8,000 a year,
Yep.
and I did fine. I ate sandwiches before I met people for dinner.
Yep.
I got drunk before I got to the bar. Everything was fine.
Yep.
I still did all the same shit. But yeah, if I had to go back, boy, it'd be a big learning
It's
curve.
tough. It was tough. And the worst part too is just I wanted to work, man.
Yes.
And I wasn't getting any looks. Casting directors were nice, but network people, I tested for so many shows and never ever made it to that next kind of level. And I basically to pay the bills, I would get like small parts in like parody movies and stuff.
Right.
And I did every parody movie from like 2005 to like 2007. And but my partner Dave had moved to DC to join a local Nazi group there. Joking. See, he's gonna get fucking mad at me. No, he was working for. Do you ever watch Pardon the Interruption? It was like an ESPN show.
You ever watch coverage of Charlottesville?
He created Unite the Right. Again,
I'm so
joke.
sorry. I missed your question.
Did you ever watch
formulating my joke? Sorry.
Do you ever watch Pardon the Interruption? It's like a sports show with Mike Wilbon. It's on ESPN at like 2:30.
I feel like I have seen
It's the
it, yes.
original show where they have two guys arguing about topics side by side, right? So he worked for that, and he said
He
"Listen,"
created that?
He just worked on it. He's like
okay.
a producer, tape cutter, and he's like, "Listen, I'm going to come back to LA, and I want us to really focus on writing." So we were like, "Great," and we wrote a couple movies that we just when you look back at your first thing you wrote, it's terrible. So we were writing these horrible movies, but then we had an idea for a movie, and we worked on it, and we said this movie makes sense and it's funny and it feels like it's our sensibility, and we sold it.
Oh wow!
And that was Central Intelligence.
Can I just say really quick? People underestimate because I was a writer as well.
Yeah.
If you think acting is hard, fucking writing,
It's impossible.
it's impossible.
It's impossible.
So to sell something,
Yeah.
I was trying to do that way longer than I was trying to act, and
Yeah.
and I didn't get to
It's
do
impossible.
it for 12 years.
It's impossible. And
Yeah.
you get people who read it and they're all nice. And some people be like, we didn't like the script, but we'd like to meet you, and you go in the meeting. But once you sell something,
Yep.
we sold it to Universal. It was the movie that Central Intelligence, right? We sold it. And from that point on, I was like, okay, I'm just going to be a writer now.
So you saw that movie. This is so New Line for people who don't know much about New Line, and they're under Warner Brothers, but they will keep a script around and they'll keep trying to figure out putting it together.
We sold it to Universal actually, and then it went to New Line and
Right.
then went back to Universal. But they will find scripts that have been dormant for years.
Yeah, because what year did you sell?
we
Central
sold it in
Intelligence?
2000 and either 8 or 2009, and it got made in
So
2000.
10 years later, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And a lot of like Horrible Bosses, I was attached to that 12 years ago, and then
I think I read like The Ghost of Girlfriends Past was written in like 1997 or something.
Yes.
And they're just like, they find these scripts.
Where the Millers was written. Yeah.
Where the Millers
I
was
think it's
another
kind of
one.
cool. It's like generally when you have a script die somewhere, it's fucking dead.
Well, that's the thing
Say
about
goodnight.
Rawson Thurber is that he both Central Intelligence and Where the Millers, he like saw these projects that were just sitting there, and he's like, these have like conceptually strong backbones.
Yeah.
I can work with this. And he got both of them to the screen. It's really a testament to Rawson.
Yeah.
So, but we sold that, and I was like, look, I'm just not going to be an actor anymore because no one's interested, and I'm just going to write. So we, again, with a few exceptions, small parts here and there, I was just writing.
I have a lot of respect for people who write because it is by far the shittiest aspect of the whole business.
Well, it's also like if you want you get an audition and you spend, let's say, 3 days. And I don't know about you, but I used to walk into auditions basically cold because I was like, I'm fucking charming. And then I realized that that's probably why I never booked a part ever. And now I have to you got to be off book. And I still audition for shit once in a while.
Well, see, I was forced to do that because I have dyslexia and I can't be caught holding a script in an audition because I will get lost on the page. I'll get all fucked up. So it was just never an option for me to wing it.
So I learned how to do that. But the point is you spend 2-3 days on something. And then you kind of learn very quickly if you're not going to get it. But if it's something if it's a spec script, holy shit, you've spent months on it. And then it goes out to the town. That was always the worst. We write a spec and it goes out to the town and you start getting these updates, on Monday, Lionsgate didn't think it was right for them and Paramount's a pass, but Universal and New Line and Fox, and they're all still up. And then and then I learned in this business, bad news travels very slow. You get the good news right away. The bad news just kind of teeters out a little bit there.
And what's really pretty undeniable too is because I would assume, like me, I think all my scripts are the same greatness. Like,
Yeah, oh my
I have no
God.
barometer of what's great and what's not.
Yeah.
But it cannot be a coincidence that the good ones, within 3 hours, there's a phone call from your
Always.
agent, and 3 studios want it.
Yeah,
it's never like it's either 4 want it or nobody wants it.
Yes,
so
exactly.
there is a consensus whether
Yeah.
you want to admit it or not.
But it's so personal
Same with
too.
sketches. Like when I was at the Groundlings, I write 6 a week. I am dead certain all 6 are of equal comedic value.
Yeah.
And you just start putting them up and you're like, oh, that's my thing. I still think saying underwear as unmentionables is hysterical. No one does.
It's crazy too, especially when you're writing a sketch show, because people like, I always said like writing a sketch show is being in a submarine. You're writing the show and you got the date up on the wall and you're leading towards it and it's crazy. And people get crazy about their material. It's a sketch. And I'll never forget, we were doing writing our new show at Boom Chicago. And I think it was Josh Myers wrote this sketch and it just didn't work. It just didn't work.
Most don't.
And most don't. Almost every sketch is bad. And right away we tried it and people started kind of picking it apart and you get really mad. And I remember Josh like walking out to go to coffee, and it's always that last line you say before you angrily leave the room. And I know he goes, fuck this. You know what? You're a bunch of fucking little baby vampires. We all look at it like vampires. Is it vampires? But yeah, you get very precious.
Well, what's really funny is the character I ended up doing in Idiocracy was one that just was always polarizing.
Can I do an impression of it?
Please do.
Ready?
Yeah.
Go away, baiting. He's like a dumbass. Oh, it's the fucking greatest character. The greatest movie. I love it so
There
much.
was genuinely a guy in my high school who spoke identical to Frito. So it's something I've been doing with my best friend Aaron Weekly my whole life.
Ouch, my balls.
Like anytime we were in trouble, I would be like, oh, fuck, we need a tow truck. Like anytime we were up shit's creek, it'd be like, so someone with a phone? Like we'd be fucked and we'd talk like this guy who just was always in over his head, right? And so I just did that since I was 17. And then, of course, in the Groundlings, when you're, introducing characters, that was one I would bring up.
Sure.
It always, half the people fucking hated it and half the people loved it. No one was in the middle. No one just was like, I don't know, is it good or bad? They're like, no, that's the worst, most annoying thing.
That movie's so good, by the way. And I know it's like so like cliche to be like, it's happening now, but like it fucking is, guys. Like you look at some of those
President
rallies
Camacho.
and you're like, it's like Camacho's coming out. Oh, I wish
By
it
the
was
way, talk
Camacho.
about the performer of the year in that movie is
Terry?
Crews.
I mean,
it's fucking
out of control.
Well, Mike had he just collected people in real life.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like the Ow My Balls guy.
Yeah.
Is a guy he would go do stand up who didn't really have a penchant for doing stand up.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he was
yeah,
just
you
like
can
he
tell.
loved this guy's dedication to doing stand up, and then he's in the movie. It's so awesome.
Mike likes
or
real
like
people.
Willie D's in the movie because
Which one's Willie D?
Because we like the Ghetto Boys. He's the pimp.
Oh fuck! Right.
Upgrade with Triple
God, Mike
B or
loves the Ghetto Boys.
I love the Ghetto Boys.
They were amazing, man.
Yeah, this year trick or treating. Ghetto Boys are trick or treating. Yeah, this year
Then
Halloween
I felt
fell
just
on
like a fiend. It wasn't even close to Halloween.
That song is deep.
That's a good song.
But I like the older shit like Gangster Boogie. and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Flipped me over on my back dog, opened up my butt cheeks and started licking out my asshole. Like who can write a rhyme like that?
There was so
and
much
stand by it?
ass eating in '92 hip hop.
Loved it. They loved
Remember
it.
the
It
Two
was
Live
also-
Crew was like, lick that shit till it's doo-doo brown. It was like, what the fuck
hold
is
on.
going on in Miami? I honestly remember thinking like,
It was so
being too
advanced.
young, I couldn't even wrap my head around it.
It was like my experience at the mechanic shop.
yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it, but I like it.
Okay, so there's a lot of parallels between you and Seth and Evan.
Yeah,
And as you've worked with him, do you guys bond on like a
we
cellular
do.
level?
I remember when I first saw Seth Rogen and I was like, oh, this guy's so great. He's my age and then I was like, he's fucking 7 years younger than me. This piece of shit.
Yes.
I was a very big fan of his though. I kind of Freaks and Geeks. The Judd movement really was a big thing for me. I was just like comedy for me,
And were you a lover or a hater? You sound like you're kind of a lover.
Lover.
Was there anyone though that you used to bash on because you were just simply jealous?
Oh God, I'm sure. I mean, I had that with there were so many parts that I like lost out to. And so there was always like that guy that I would see that, oh, that guy got the part. But the parts that I always lost to were always people that did a much better job than me.
That's happened to me.
Like I like auditioned to be Jim Halpert, and like John Krasinski did a much better job than I would have done. I auditioned to be Andy Dwyer. Chris Pratt did a much better job than I would have done. So like there was always that. But I'm trying to think of jealousy.
That's okay.
No, I mean, on Mad TV, we had to rip on people a lot, which kind of like
that bummed me out.
It bummed me out a little bit.
I wouldn't have liked doing that either.
I didn't like it. I mean, publicly it was tough, and it was like,
and you're hoping to work with these people one day.
I know. And there were some people that like I didn't care. Like I like made fun of Dan Cook all the time. I was like, oh, Dan Cook. But then there was one time that was like they wanted me to make fun of John Mahoney, the dad on Frasier, and I was like, I love Frasier. I love John Mahoney. Yeah, that was the aspect I didn't really love that show. But in terms of Seth and Evan, I just was huge fans of their sensibility. They were like literally like my partner and I would look at them and I was like, this is what we should do. Like if we were younger and Canadian, we could be these guys. And I loved Superbad. Like I think like the first 45 minutes of Superbad, I put that up against any movie. Not like the last 45 is bad. It's just the first 45 is so high school and so real to me.
Yes.
But I was huge fans of those guys. And then I first met Seth when I was doing Eastbound and Down, and he came and did one scene. He's in the cold open of the last episode of the last season I was in, or the only season I was in. And I'll never forget, we all stayed at they shoot that in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And we were staying at this hotel called the Blockade Runner. And
hit me again with that
Blockade Runner. The blockade.
What is that supposed to elicit?
No, it's probably some like well, it's named after the Confederate ship that killed so many. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But so I was there in my hotel room, and Danny McBride called me. I was like, hey, "What's up, man? Do you know Seth Rogen?" And I was like, no, I'm a big fan. He goes, cool. He's downstairs in the hotel. Yo, do you have any weed? And I was like, yeah, I have some weed. He's like, cool. Hey, can you go down to room 212 and introduce yourself to Seth and give him a little bit of weed?
Deliver some weed to him.
So like I go down and I knock on the door and I hear I hear that voice. Oh, hold on. Clearly shitting. Or jerking off, I think. I don't know.
Or bound to a chair.
Or bound to a chair. But like it takes him a minute to come to the door, and he comes in and he goes,
talk about delivering on the brand.
Yeah.
It's not like you, it's like knock, it's like, hold on, rook to 9. So you hear him growling out of shit.
All right, hold on. And he comes to the door and goes, hey. And I go, hey, man. And I go,
you're presenting him like a grandpa.
He's like Charles Durning. What do you want? I go, hey, I'm Ike. He goes, oh, hey. I go, I got some weed for you. He goes, thank you. And I give it to him, and he looks at me, and he's about to close the door. He goes, you caught me at a bad moment. Oh no. So I was like, oh, that's cool, So then later that night, like I see him, like we're hanging out on set, and I see him, we're hanging out.
Like a night shoot or
I think he thought I was just like a PA or like Danny's assistant or something,
Yeah.
They had a night shoot and I hung out with him and then super cool guy, he was on the pod.
I barely, yeah.
Super cool guy. But then very shortly thereafterwards, but a year later after Eastbound, I got hired by Mindy. We're on the Mindy Project. And then he came and did an episode of the Mindy Project and we hung out more. And then
let's just all publicly acknowledge how gracious and generous he is, that he goes and does the Mindy show. He does Eastbound and Down. He does my podcast. What a guy.
He's a genuinely
a mensch.
He's a mensch.
He's a mensch's mensch.
And then from Mindy, he brought me in for Neighbors, and that's kind of how I got hooked into his pipeline, his world. Him and Evan, yeah. And that is a fun world. I told this to Howard Stern, but like I said, I like the pot.
Yeah,
I like the pot.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I can function a little bit. Like I can definitely write when I'm on pot.
Yeah.
But
ride a motorcycle,
operate, a forklift, fencing, daycare.
Work.
I run my whole daycare. But there's certain things I just can't do. And he is able to, I don't know if he still does it, but he's like Irving Thalberg.
Ooh,
but he's like, the original mogul of Hollywood, but he's able to be stoned. He'll be like smoking a joint, be like, Oh, hold on one second. Hey, Toby, Emmerich, how you doing? Yeah, I think it's good, but yeah. Hold on one second. That's the trailer. Yeah, no, it's too long. It's too fucking long. They got to cut 10 seconds off the backside. Hold on, Toby. Let me get the script here. Yeah, no. Evan and I will fix this. It's a whole fucking thing. And hold on one second.
When's my lunch with that dame?
Cancel by 2:30 with Gene Harlow. But he's just able to do so many different things.
Down that doobie.
Yeah. And it's just, I admire it.
Yeah.
And he has the greatest fucking weed, man. I know you don't, but like my dad comes to the Neighbors 2 premiere party in Westwood at the after party, and they have like 12 different hotel rooms that they've rented out. People are moving from room to room, and I'm talking to Seth, and he pulls out a joint, and my dad, like I just see my dad in the periphery start salivating, and he just kind of moves over, and Seth hands him the joint, and I look at my dad and I go, one hit. One hit. And he takes his hit like a real baby boomer where he like you know what I mean. I was like, oh fuck. And then he takes like another.
Did he lick
hit.
the side of the joint?
He didn't lick no, he smelled the front of it, which is so like Michael Douglas and Romancing the Stone. But anyway, so my dad smokes a couple hits of this, and like 30 minutes later my brother's there. He's like, where's Dad? And I was like, fuck. And we looked through every single room until he finally, the last room, it's like the end of the hallway. He's sitting by himself in a suite, like in the corner, just like sitting quietly. And I was like, all right, come on, man, we're going home. He's like, okay.
How about mom? Does mom partake?
Mom's not. No, mom likes her white wine.
Yeah,
she likes
Again,
white wine.
She's Irish. She said, right?
Yeah.
But we can't escape our genetics.
No, we can't. We are our ancestors.
We are what we literally are.
What we literally
With the
we
building
are what we
blocks.
biologically are. But yeah, mom not so much. Dad enjoys.
But mom and dad are cool, right?
Mom and dad are cool. Yeah,
they're laid back.
They're like great.
Dad was a lawyer.
Dad was a lawyer, and mom really got involved with school and stuff. Once my brother came, she was really kind of full-time mom, full-time school stuff.
And
they're just like chill, fun, cool, liberal baby boomers.
But your dad was, you clearly have to be an academic to get a law degree and pass the bar.
Well, Dad was in showbiz first.
Oh, he was?
Dad was an acting major. They were both theater majors.
Oh,
in
really?
1969 and at Ohio State, 1973 in Ohio State. And Dad was like, I'm gonna do it. And it was a great time to be in Chicago because Belushi and Joe Flaherty and Harold Ramis were really big. And he started doing some stand-up. And he played some clubs, and I think kind of quickly on, like he was, just like a lot of our parents, they got married so young, so much younger than we get married. And I think he kind of had that, epiphany of, how do you make this work? Do I go on the road and sacrifice a family, or do I try to make it work?
Or do I get the job with the longest hours humanly possible and miss it in another way?
Exactly. And like a true boomer, he chose the latter. But no, he went to law school, and I always kind of felt like he sacrificed his showbiz dream so my brother and I could have ours, which is why like I'm always happy to talk about show, because he loves it. Like I never forget, and he came out to visit, they come out a lot, and we were at the Whole Foods over on 3rd and Fairfax. And we're in the produce, and he comes up to me and just like nudges me and motions to someone. And I look and see this older black man looking at vegetables. And my dad goes,
Why'd that make me so nervous?
He goes, it's him. And I look up, and I know that it's Clarence Williams III, an actor from the TV show The Mod Squad.
Oh.
But you would have thought that it was Samuel L.
Reynolds.
Jackson or Sidney Poitier or something.
Will Smith.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah. And my dad goes, got to talk to him. I go, leave him alone. Let the man pick his produce.
Hold on.
He would have liked it probably.
Yes.
But I was just like, I never want to bother anyone.
Well, don't you think that's because our parents are an extension of our own ego, as we are an extension of theirs? Parents are parents. And they feel like they're the ones that just said something bonkers, but they didn't. And we all know there's a big delineation between parent and child. But isn't it funny how it just affects you? You're powerless over it.
It makes you crazy, man. It makes you crazy. And then you get luckily my dad, like, for years, I made him an extra on a Mad TV sketch one time, and he hated it so much that but I have some friends whose parents are like, the dad's like, I'm going to be in this, and it's like, let's keep everything separate, guys.
Yeah,
but it's
he's able, your father, because he was successful as a lawyer. I presume he wasn't.
We were like,
I don't mean that he's rich, but he succeeded at his pursuit of being a lawyer.
We never wanted food, and we never were wanting for food, and we were like. What I would describe as like what's probably gone now, which is like just kissing upper middle class. Where like we lived in a very small apartment in Chicago and in the middle of the city, and
you lived right downtown,
uptown. I lived on the north side, like about a mile from Wrigley Field.
Off topic. Do you read Devil in the White City?
Yes.
It must have been so fun having grown up there to read that book.
My partner Dave.
The Nazi,
Oberstführer, his house that he grew up in was built by Burnham.
No way.
Yeah. So
cool.
That's like the best Chicago book of all time, and there are some great ones.
Well, I had been to Chicago a million times, having grown up in Detroit, and I'd seen all those buildings. I could give a flying fuck. I read that book, and then the next time I was in Chicago, I took the silly boat tour, the architecture boat tour, and I loved it. I was
How have they not made that movie yet? I know Leo keeps trying to make it, but that movie is like, I'm just like, it's written to be a movie.
Yes.
I mean, come on. Anyways.
Or even better, maybe like a 12-part
show.
show. Something I could really sink my teeth into.
Yeah. I love Larson. So anyways.
But anyways, I was going to say, he had his own success.
He did,
in another
absolutely.
field. So is he able to watch you just from a great place, or is there any envy?
No, it's a great place, and it's a fun place, and just couldn't be rooting for his sons more, and just I think he is tickled by what we're doing.
That's
just because when he comes out, like, he couldn't be happier to be on set.
And also, he probably has a perspective that is hard for us to have, which is he never forgets you were a tiny little baby in his apartment in Chicago, and now you're making a living doing this.
Yeah.
He is not looking at you going, why isn't he Adam Sandler?
No, God.
Right? But we're trapped in next is Adam Sandler. How do I get there?
That's a thing that with some parents where like the jealousy cuts in, and I'm just like, fuck that. That's really sad.
Yeah.
No, my parents have I got kicked out of college.
Well, that's what I was kind of leading towards, is that your dad clearly did well in school if he became a lawyer.
He did.
And you did not do
I did
well
terrible in school. I loved my teachers, and I loved being at school.
Okay.
But I just couldn't focus. I hated studying. I hated homework. Whatever.
So you think it was an attention issue?
A little bit. I'm sure now I'd be prescribed some kind of,
nice
big fat Ritalin pill or something.
Okay.
I would do the reading. I just wouldn't do the reading they wanted me to do. If we were reading about the Federalist Papers, I would be reading about like the Civil Rights Act, or vice versa. Okay. I just was, but I loved my teachers, and I just wanted to hang out with my friends and watch TV and watch movies and shit. But I did well enough to get into like some kind of program at Boston University, even though it was like the bad, like at colleges, they have like the bad program where they're like, if you do well here, then you can pivot right into the college. You know what I mean? It's not like
I didn't know that.
It's basically for like trust fund kids or like hockey players or like
the athletes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got into it, and I love Boston. I hated BU. I hated being there. I went crazy. I had never done drugs before. All of a sudden I'm smoking weed. I'm eating mushrooms. Mm-hmm. I was definitely like, and then I really was like, I want to do movies. Right. So I just stopped going to class, but I told my parents that everything was going fine. I was like, yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm getting mostly,
piece of shit.
Fucking piece of shit.
What a piece.
And my fucking dad said to me, my friend, I'm going to take you on a vacation. I'm going to back in a real voice. I'm going to take you on a vacation to LA and Las Vegas because you finished your first year of college, and I'm so proud of you.
Oh my.
So I was like,
by the way, this is how you parent, because that is so much more soul crushing. Wow.
Fucking unimaginable. And I know it's coming, kind of. So he takes me to go to Vegas.
Oh, God.
Go to LA. We have this great trip. We see my cousin Adam Rifkin make a movie.
And you're living a lie.
I am like so terrified. The hammer's about to drop, and it dropped. I can tell you the moment it dropped.
You're like shopping for tuxedos to marry a woman, and you're gay.
I'm gay.
I mean, that's how bad it is.
I was a gay man on the day of my wedding to a beautiful woman.
Yes.
And we are in the hotel room I think we were at the Universal Hilton, and this is before cell phones. He calls my mom, He goes, hey, we're about to go to the airport. What's wrong?
Oh boy, the grades.
What's wrong? Why are you crying?
Why are you crying?
What? What the fuck? And he turns to me and goes, did you get kicked out of college? And I was like, what? No, what?
You double down.
Double down. And then like on the way to the airport, like the truth starts trickling out. I'm like, well, I did kind of stop going to class. And we flew back on a Southwest flight from LA to Chicago. It's a 3-row. And there was a guy not sitting between us, but sitting next to my dad. And I'm in the middle, and my dad's just yelling at me on the plane. And then he starts crying.
Oh my! This is the saddest story I've ever heard.
And he's
in
on
my
the plane
life.
going, can you lie about your mother and me? You lied to us. And like, also, guess what, man? That fucking college costs like
Oh God.
$30,000.
Yeah.
So it was pretty fucking rough for a minute.
Oh my!
My mom didn't speak to me for like a week, which is unheard of in my house. And I also said to them too, I was like,
What if she went back to being Catholic just for that week to really know how to?
she became a nun. She joined a nunnery.
Your mother's in the convent.
Your mother is a nun now. And I said to the two, I was like, I'm not going back. I don't want to do it. I don't know what I want to do. I like acting, blah, blah, blah. They knew that I liked comedy and stuff. So my dad took me to see the Improv Olympic 15th anniversary.
You've got like the best fucking dad in the
fucking
world.
mom and dad in the world. And because he was friends with a woman whose brother was in theater, and I went and I saw like Adam McKay and Amy Poehler, and specifically Tim Meadows was so funny that I was like, oh, I want to do something like this. And that was really how I got into the whole improv scene and stuff. And I got to say, my parents, they came to probably 300 improv shows, if not more, over the years, and came to everyone. And even the ones that were like, you know, like there are nights where there's improv shows where there's nothing, like a death camp is funnier than a fucking improv show.
Oh, when it goes bad.
Oh, when it goes bad and you start trying to overcompensate by swearing and going blue. It's the worst. And they came to everyone and just were so supportive and have never looked back. Yeah,
That's
it's really
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a plan? Like, what was your plan to get out of this college situation?
No. I was just like, I knew I was going to get in a lot of trouble, and they said if I could retake 5 classes, maybe I could get back in basically all the classes. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And I was like, I love movies, and I was like, I want to do something, but I just didn't know. And it wasn't really until I had this moment of clarity. Like one of the seminal moments in my life will be watching Tim Meadows do impersonate like Mario Van Peebles or something, and made me laugh so hard that I was like, this feels like something I could do. It was really and then from there, it's like you start taking classes, and then the path kind of presents itself, where it's like, well, the goal is the Second City main stage, and then the ultimate goal after that is SNL, and so then the path is kind of laid out for you. And I think just at different points, I took these little weird turns. Amsterdam is a little weird turn, and Mad TV, that took me in a little weird direction, and then this movie writing took me in a little weird direction. So the path is always there, and I just kind of took these little detours to get to kind of where I wanted to be.
Can I ask a personal question? Did you deal with breakups the same way you dealt with that college scenario? Was that kind of
that's 100% move. I never had a real girlfriend before I met my wife.
Oh, really?
Never, nothing for more than like a few maybe months or so, just because I was so probably afraid of intimacy.
Okay.
A little bit. When I was with my girlfriends, I loved to like lay in bed naked and talk and like do dances and shit, whatever. But like, I just didn't want to be tethered to anything.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I would do that horrible thing of, they now call it ghosting.
Yeah. You just ignore them.
And I felt bad, but I was never like, mean or anything. I was just, I mean, I know that's inherently mean, but I would just kind of be like, I'll give you a call next week. And then there's never call. Not cool.
And so you, I guess it's safe to say you're just really afraid of conflict, or you're just terrified of disappointing people.
Both those two things, I think. Like, I don't like conflict, but when it happens, I think I handle it very well. Even though I get a little hot around the collar, I think I still I am very quick to resolve. Like if I get in a fight with Dave over something, like we'll be like, fuck you. But then 5 minutes later, I'm like, we're cool, right? And he's like, yeah. That to me is like the perfect fight. Get it out quickly and make up right away.
Okay. But the line of work you've chosen, you are a business person. You're an entrepreneur. You have you've chosen a career where there's a ton of negotiation. Basically, you get to a point where you get a note on a script, and you have to at times relent and see their point of view, and there's other times you got to fight, and you got to prove why you're correct. And so it is a business that does require some assertiveness and being able to hash it out. So have you gotten better at it?
Definitely. And I think I learned a lot of that from Mindy.
Okay.
Watching Mindy on notes calls was great because she just has this point of view of like, look, the reality is not every note they give is bad.
Oh, for sure.
Like they give you good notes sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think she's just very quick at identifying what's good and being like, that is so great. That is so great. And then really pick your battles.
Yes. And the kind of move I've slowly discovered in the past is just like embrace the fuck out of the 4 you agree with.
Yep.
And basically just ignore the other ones. Don't spend your capital fighting them.
Yeah.
Just first do the 4 they love, turn that in, see what they think, and see if it comes back up again. Then you can kind of have that fight.
And the notes you don't like, try a version of it if you want to. Or just lie to them like, we tried that. We thought about it. We really talked that one out and we couldn't get there on that one. Yeah. But I think you're right. If you're just like effusive and enthusiastic and not lying, and you're actually like, this is good. I'm going to take these notes and we're going to, work with them and stuff. Then I think it just puts them in a better mood. And then you're able to kind of still get your way.
We love Mindy.
Love
here.
her so much.
We want her to come on. So bad. She won't. She won't come.
I'm going to talk to her.
I can tell you exactly because I tweeted her publicly.
Yeah,
she thinks she sucks.
She thinks she sucks on podcasts.
And I'm like, bullshit. I've heard you on Fresh Air and stuff. That's not true,
dude. I'm going to get her on. She is so. I never met anyone like her. She is so goddamn funny and just such a dear friend and has such a crazy perspective on life. She's the best, man. She gave me I was like, it was really her. I still to this day had never had a network approve me to be on a TV show ever. Whenever it came down the network, they always would cast like a hotter guy.
Did you concoct any conspiracy theories in your head?
Yeah.
What was
weird
it?
Face?
Okay.
Teeth.
Did you single out? Okay, so you think your teeth?
I mean, it was teeth. It was also just like
I think my nostrils aren't symmetrical, and that's a big stumbling block.
I'll tell you, it's any non-symmetrics. There's a negative. They like the
symmetry.
But Mindy was like, when I got hired to be a writer on the show, she's like, I want you to be on the show, and she went to the network and was like, he's going to be the guy. You're not casting anyone else, and like. To have someone go to bat for you like that, and then also not just keep you relegated to like the 3-line an episode guy, and early on give you stories, and it's like the nicest thing.
She's so cool.
She's so cool, man. She's a fucking mogul, dude.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I find this to be a little pervasive among us, and I get where it comes from. It's like it is so hard to achieve steady work in this business. I mean, it's nearly impossible. And so you don't want to ever acknowledge that you were the recipient of luck. There's something about it like that you don't really want to admit, like, because it's so hard and you want to be able to own the accomplishment of having struggled and done the thing. And then it makes you a little hesitant. In my own case, it's like there were periods of time where I would just kind of ignore the fact that Ashton Kutcher literally pulled me out of a haystack. I was one needle, and that's why I'm sitting here. And so because if the 10 years felt so unlucky, but there was a lightning bolt of luck. And I think there's you got to have all these things. You got to be a hard worker. You got to have some modicum of talent. And then you need to fucking somehow, Mindy Kaling's got to like fall in love with you and want to help
you. And I've had like people like that, like Nicole Sullivan was on Mad TV and saw my 2-man show and was like, I'm going to bring the Mad producers here. Like, we need help. I'm like willing to I want to like let people know that I had a lot of help. And the reality is it wasn't for some of those people, I would not be here right now. I just wouldn't be.
It's very life affirming to see someone like you who just has worked hard, been funny, stayed in your lane, been humble. All those things have success. It's so fantastic. And I think when you do it the way you've done it, you kind of build a foundation that I think you and I will talk many times over the next couple decades, and I'm very happy for you. Is there anything you have coming out that you want to talk about?
Yes, I have a movie that I directed.
Oh,
I directed a film. It's called The Oath.
The Oath.
It's coming out. It'll be in LA and New York October 12th.
Okay.
And then it's going to go wider after that. It's produced by QC, who produced Get Out.
Okay.
And Black Klansman. These awesome guys, Sean and Ray. And it's a movie that is very topical.
Okay.
Basically all about
Politics?
If you can imagine a world where the president of the United States is obsessed with loyalty and introduces some kind of semi-mandated loyalty oath for the citizenry to take. And the country is politically polarized, where half the people think it's not a big deal and the other half think it's fascism. And
This is too science fiction.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm already out. I'm out.
Can't
Yeah.
relate.
And that's kind of the deadline to sign it is the Friday after Thanksgiving. So the whole
Is it kind of
movie-
a horror movie?
It's like a comedy thriller. The trailer's up on my Twitter feed.
In the Get Out vein?
It's definitely like
It's
it
better
has
than
the
Get
sa-
Out, you're
it's
saying.
better than Get Out.
It's better.
Jordan's shit is a hack. I've seen a million movies like Get Out. Get Out. Jordan's one of my best friends.
Yeah. What version?
And I remember him telling me like what it's about, and I remember thinking like, cool. Okay, yeah, that sounds great, Jordan. And then I went to the opening night, and I was like, "Holy shit!" It's so great because Jordan took the two things that he likes the most and combined them, which are horror films and fucking awkward white people, and just made this story. Anyway, so these guys produced it, and it's funny, it's fucking weird.
Who's in it?
Me and Tiffany Haddish are the stars of it.
Oh, was it
She's
hard to
great.
get her?
Honestly, I wrote it before Girls Trip even came out.
Okay.
I was just, have you ever seen Keanu, the movie Jordan and Keegan were
I
in?
didn't.
She's in it, and I just loved her, and I was like, I want her to be my wife in a movie. And so I wrote it, and then while she was reading it, Girls Trip came out, and she started becoming Tiffany Haddish, but God bless her. She's like, no, I like this movie. It's what's happening right now. I like that. And she did it.
That's awesome.
John Cho is in it, who's amazing. My brother plays my brother in it, and he's so good.
Like you really believe your brothers.
I really believe my brother's in it. Like, I really believe it. Carrie Brownstein and a great actor named Billy Magnuson, who is he was. Did you watch the Ryan Murphy OJ show?
Yes, loved it.
He was
Loved it.
Kato Kalin. And
Yeah.
he is so good. And it's going to be interesting to see how this movie is received, because it'll be a little polarizing, I think. And there'll be some people who will be like, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it. But I think it's really, I'm really proud of it. And I'm really
good.
excited for folks to check it out.
You made the movie that was in your head. It came out.
It came out exactly.
That's all
what
you
was in
can
my
fucking
head.
do.
Yeah.
Everything else doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's just all about like how
Put it
many
out there.
zeros are you going to have in your bank account?
That's it. I don't care about that. It's the first thing I've ever put out that's complete. You know, like when you made Hit and Run, right?
Yeah.
That's the first time it's ever been like, it wasn't anyone else, right?
No.
It wasn't anyone else's shit. It was all Dax.
For
And
better or
it's-
worse.
For better or worse.
I want to. No one will finance this, but I was just pitching this to Monica the other day. I want to make a whole movie that is sincere, that only leads up to a single joke, where you spend 90 minutes creating a dead real world. Have you been watching Castle Rock at all?
No, I'm going to start it though.
It's so great. It's so great.
I heard it's
But-
good. I
and
went with
it's so-
Succession
it's-
first.
it's so-
Oh,
I
we love that.
love.
Oh,
But I think honestly, top 5 best music ever in a TV show.
So fucking cool.
So fucking cool.
And
Anyways.
the same score over and over
Over and over.
Never
Just
tired.
variations. Loved
Titles,
it.
yeah.
Loved it.
Man, fucking
Love. Fucking love.
So anyway, we were watching Castle Rock, and there's one scene, and it couldn't be more serious. It's a
Right.
fucking, there's murder and all this stuff, and they're tight on this actor in a mirror, and they're pulling out, and they're pulling out, and they're pulling out, and I go, oh my God, Monica, if they just kept pulling out, and he had no pants on, and he was urinating but not touching his penis, and they did this whole show just to have this pull out where a grown man is standing like a baby peeing, it would have to go down in history as the greatest comedic moment of all time. And I just want to commit that much energy to tell a single joke.
It's a $25 million
fantasy.
joke.
25. And then you just go right back to the drama.
Do you hear Dax got Sir Anthony Hopkins to be in his new movie? It's called Old Man Pissing.
They just keep pulling out. You think it's going to reveal that he's about to get murdered. And no, he's just urinating on himself, and he doesn't know why. There's no explanation.
Speaking of urinating yourself, I will tell you this one story just because I know you've had a vasectomy.
Yeah.
I had one.
Oh, congratulations.
I just took the jock strap off yesterday.
Oh, wait. Oh, you just had one.
I had one like 3 weeks ago.
Ah.
The worst thing.
Wait, you wore a jockstrap for 3 weeks after getting it?
I had to, because when I didn't, I get this horrible pain.
Oh.
But when you wear a
testicle
jock
size?
strap, it pulls everything up.
Okay.
And I sit down to pee sometimes, and I pee on my balls.
Oh, wow. All over your
I
testicles.
urinate on my own testicles. And then I had to take a shower anyway because I'm a germ freak.
I got mine on a Wednesday. Yeah. Friday, I was in another state filming a Samsung commercial, jumping on a trampoline. That's real.
Fucking Christ.
Yeah. But so listen, I'm a recovering addict.
Yep.
And occasionally I get to take opiates.
Yep.
My wife doles them out.
Yep.
She gets the prescription
Yep.
and I get them. You could cut my fingers off. It's worth it. So like whatever bad story you have, I'm like, all I know is that I was on a trampoline jumping, but I was on Percocet and it was worth it. And I wished I could get a double vasectomy just so I could get more.
Reverse it and then take it away again.
Yeah.
That's right.
But again, I just want to stipulate, I turn those over immediately.
Yep.
They are doled out to me by a sober person.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Ike, it was such a pleasure having you. I'm so glad you came in and did this very, very exciting, entertaining guest. Would you say, Mom?
Guys, thank you guys so
absolutely.
much.
And I look forward to seeing The Oath.
Fucking awesome. Yes, The Oath, October
I guess I'm going to have
12th.
to fly to LA, though. It's all
Where are you going to be?
LA, yeah.
It's in LA.
I know I'm going to go from Burbank to LAX.
If you want to.
Is there a flight from Burbank to LAX? Probably not.
No.
Of course not. What am I saying?
I mean, that's just reserved for like crazy millionaires.
maybe occasionally.
But like, what's the thing is like, oh shit, I'm on Victory Boulevard, but I got a meeting in Ladera Heights in an hour. What do I do?
Yeah, I'm not going to rule out, though, that a flight that left Taipei wasn't running out of fuel, got stuck in the holding pattern, had to set it down in Burbank for some more gas, and then
Sure.
took off and went back. That's
Oh
the
yeah.
history of
Oh, there has
Yeah.
been times.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And
But
so
it's not a flight
I'd have
that
to
you could buy.
First fly to Taipei,
Sure.
Have you been to
grease the
Taipei
guy
lately?
filling up the tank.
Hey, cut it short a little bit.
Yeah,
I want to make a stop in Burbank.
just take
what are you talking about?
It's a bucket list thing. Don't worry about it. Everyone's safe.
But just make it just enough so we barely get to Burbank.
Yeah, I want to come in on fumes. I want to hear it sputtering as we fucking touch down. Well, Ike,
Buddy.
we started this in the driveway with a hug. I'm
Yeah.
going to end it with I love you. Thanks for coming, and please come back.
I love you guys. Thank you so much.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman. I don't want no facts. Facts are a man that can't get no love from me. Hanging out the passenger side of his best friend's ride, trying to holler at me.
That was a good one.
Thank you. It was like came up with it at the last second.
Ooh, I love that song.
Scrubs.
No Scrubs, yeah.
I don't want no scrub.
That's it.
Scrub is a man that can't get no love from me. Hanging at the. You're looking away.
No, I was thinking. I was not looking away. I was thinking about the lyrics.
Okay. Our friend, we're friends. We're lucky enough to be friends with Ira Glass. And Ira Glass wants Monica to add some music to this to really punch up the production
Pump up the
value
jam.
of the fact check. Is he ignoring the fact that we provide music?
He must be that this fact check is full of music by Dax Shepard.
Yeah, this doesn't check out.
I'm gonna talk to him. We'll figure it out.
All right.
Ike, good old Ike,
Tall guy,
super tall guy.
wide shoulders, a big man. Big man came into the attic.
Yeah. I feel like you get a little spooked when there's another tall guy in the attic.
You think so?
Yeah, I think.
I wouldn't call it spooked. I definitely wake up like, okay, if this guy loses his shit,
To you, it's like a pop out.
it's a pop out. I got to be prepared. I go, this person's a real threat to everyone in the room if they lose their marbles.
Sure.
I'm always like a captain in a maritime law story, fable, where, someone might go, they might get cabin fever.
Yeah, you're ready for someone to blow at all times.
Yes, and to contain them and then secure them.
That's the opposite of me. Because when I was little, when I was in bed and I knew that there was going to be a robber that came that night, for sure. My plan, or kidnapper, my plan was to try to make friends with them
That's great.
so that they would not, because I couldn't fend for myself. Well, that's the quality that I use. Friendship.
Yeah, that's your superpower.
Yeah. Do you think? I don't think so.
No, that's not it. We haven't quite isolated it.
I think it used to be more friendship than it is now.
Yeah, you're very social. You have great social skills. You can
used
make
to.
friends with everybody.
I could. I don't choose to anymore,
Right.
but I used to.
You've turned a page.
Because I would always just personality match.
Oh, interesting. Like a miming exercise where you would mirror the person's
Kind of.
interests. And Did you feel like a fraud sometimes?
No, until that just got exhausting.
Oh, right. It was just too much.
So then I stopped, and then I was just me. By then, I already had all my friends were already locked in, so who cared?
Yeah, what were they going to do?
Yeah, what were they
Have an
gonna do?
awkward breakup?
I've never had an awkward breakup with a friend.
We've talked about this before. You've never had one.
I've never had one.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, shall we begin?
Yeah.
You said Lake Okeechobee. What a name for a place. Lake Okeechobee, Florida, is the fastest spreading STD rate in the country, or was.
Yeah, it was.
And I could not find any evidence of that.
You couldn't.
I really couldn't. I looked hard, but maybe not hard enough. You can look later if you want. Because I thought you said maybe it was an NPR article.
Yeah, I heard
something.
it. My mother happened to weirdly hear it as well. Because she and I have talked about it. We heard the same thing.
I tried. I really tried, and I could not find it.
I don't know how well cataloged those radio episodes are in print. You know, I don't know if you can really search them. Yeah.
When I searched STD, sexually transmitted disease,
Venereal disease,
Lake Okeechobee, I found nothing.
gonorrhea,
NPR,
human papillomavirus,
chlamydia, AIDS,
HIV,
herpes.
simplex 1, simplex 2.
But, okay, as of August 2017, the city with the highest STD infection rate is St. Louis, Missouri.
That's a per capita thing, I have to assume. Yeah. Not total numbers. Really? St. Louis?
And second
I might move there. That sounds like a fun place to live.
No.
No? Doesn't STDs...
Why do you want an STD?
Well, because it means more sex, doesn't it? Or just it means
doesn't
more,
have to. It means
more unsafe sex?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All
exactly.
Right. Okay.
Second is, what do you think it is?
Chicago.
No, but no.
Detroit.
No. Philadelphia.
Same.
That's what I said.
No, if Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Cleveland, these are all pretty similar cities.
See, this is our argument about purity. You think it's all the same. And if you're from one place, you're pure to all those places. And it's not true.
No, I think that a lot of cities that were built on the Industrial Revolution that had a precipitous drop in employment, I think those cities seem to have some similar character.
And then the third is Montgomery, Alabama.
Oh, good. You guys got one. You got one in the South below the Mason-Dixon.
Yeah.
I was nervous for you there for a minute.
I was pretty sure that we were going to make it in the top 3. I didn't have any fear about that.
Hope I don't get sued by Lake Okeechobee. I got to substantiate this claim that they had the fastest spreading STD rate at one point.
The Instagram account of jocks in tight pants is called Football Jockstrap Apps.
Oh, wait, say it again because I don't think it was clear enough.
Because I started to say something else. Football Jockstraps.
Football jockstraps.
That's the Instagram
it's a
account
great
that
place
you
to
love.
Check out penises and buns and abs on guys.
Yeah, you often send me some.
Yeah, I send
cute
you.
pics.
You're in my circle of people. It kind of goes between Cameron, Jess, and I. Two gay men, and then you.
Cameron gets these. I
think
didn't know.
he's the one who introduced me to it.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
I didn't.
Isn't
know.
that great?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you want to tell the listeners about your Olympic?
Sure. I think it was one of our great bonding experiences and really where Nate came to appreciate your genius. Oh. Because remember the three of us, we were on a text chain during the Olympics. It all really started with Nate and I being roommates for a few years. And it started by watching football. And some of these guys, we started realizing they're not wearing cups. I'm seeing the penises flop around during plays.
The full penis.
Yeah, I'm seeing the meatus and the shaft and all the different parts of the penis. They're very visible. And then we sat down for the Summer Olympics, and a lot of these sprinters, they don't appear to be wearing any underwear because sometimes the penis goes all the way from the left side leg of the spandex. It bounces up in the air and then lands in the right leg of the spandex.
They're running so fast.
They are. Anything in between their legs doesn't have a shot in hell. No. They're just along for the ride. And sometimes the penises some of them are pretty prominent, and they're big penises, and they're really flopping around. But at any rate, every 4 years come Summer Olympics. There's a tremendous amount of file sharing between you,
Yeah.
Nate, myself, and then a few other people we've enlisted. Ryan enjoys it. It's great because we're all kind of aggregating now, and you can't catch all the penises in all these shots. But if you've got a lot of eyes on there, you can get a good. So I have, and you know what's really interesting? I got myself in a little bit of a precarious situation with my computer broke during chips, and remember Amy, my assistant, she was kind of tasked with getting my computer backed up onto a new computer, blah, blah, blah. At any rate, the first thing that came up was just a folder of all penis shots from the Olympics that you had sent, that Nate had sent. And, I had to I felt like it definitely needed an explanation why I have all these penis pictures on my thing. We always are looking for these on the other. It didn't make it better.
It just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
It got worse and worse and worse. And then I literally went home that night and I was like, I can hear this conversation being read back to me in a court transcript. And it's going to sound so different. And I had to text her and go, I just want to say, I'm very sorry if that made you uncomfortable. My apologies, blah, blah, blah. She said, if anything, I certainly like working for you more knowing that you're collecting all those photos.
Yeah.
So it turned out okay, but I did have a moment of panic on my ride home of like, this is dicey. Working for a big corporation, showing my assistant a bunch of penis pictures.
Well, so let's just be clear. No, they're in clothes, but you can just see them very prominently.
So prominently that I feel like
they might as well not be wearing
or
clothes.
that you'd even know less about their penis if you saw the bare penis.
That's true.
Somehow
the outline is somehow even more distinguished than just
there's an incredible
flesh.
Do you remember any of them specifically? Because one is there's a medal ceremony where the guy in
I remember that.
first or second place on the podium has a full erection. He has a straight up and down erection in his singlet. It is so wild. I'm such a mix of emotions when I see it because I think, that guy was so happy that he became erect. And then
horny.
he gets self-conscious. I've only had this a couple times. I have had erections that were not sexually related, but they were excitement related.
Really?
Yes. When I wanted a spree moped so bad when I was 12 years old, and I had no shot of getting one. My mom was fucking broke, and my dad just didn't buy me
How much
shit.
are they?
At the time, I think they were $800.
Wow, yeah.
In 1987, there's no way I was getting one.
Yeah.
And I was at my dad's for the weekend, and he said, do you want to go up to Anderson Honda and look at those things? And I was like, I was so excited just to go look at them. And I go, yeah. And he goes, if you clean the garage, I'll take you up there and we can look at them. I ran out to the garage to clean it, and there was a fucking spree in the garage.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
To this day, I can't remember being more excited. And I got on it and I just started driving around the neighborhood and I had a throbbing boner the whole time I operated the moped. I bet for 45 minutes I was like engorged.
Could you even ride it?
It was uncomfortable, but I was working through it because I had to keep riding.
You had to.
But yeah, I just had this raging boner about riding the moped.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
I cannot believe I've never heard that story. What a sweet story.
Yeah.
That is
I talk so bad about my dad on here. I always feel bad afterwards because there were a million beautiful things about my dad.
Yeah.
And really probably anything you like about me comes from him. I mean, I'm a carbon copy of him. So I'm going to try to, you know what I do think? It's like, because I go home and I always feel bad that I talk bad about him on here. And I think, the people that know me, that know him, they must think I'm an asshole. It just so happens that we're generally talking on here about things we've overcome or dealt with. And so that is always the light in which I'm talking about him. But yes, there's so many other things. Yeah. One of them being he did that.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
It's okay for you to talk about the things that hurt you, too.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'm not giving the fairest picture of him. There's also many.
Yeah. But I don't know that you need to be super concerned about that. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
It was black with purple. It said spree and purple.
Okay. I'm a little nervous because, Jim Belushi comes up during the movie game, which is a game we should play because that sounds fun. And I couldn't name a movie he was in. And That's embarrassing,
Okay.
but I still can't. Like, it's not like I was on the spot and I couldn't think of one. I do not know.
You've not seen Animal House,
I have not.
Blues Brothers?
Have not.
Well, in your defense, he had a short window. I mean, he died
Exactly.
right as he was gaining momentum.
And it was a little bit before my time, and I have a big hole in my movie arsenal.
He's in the only failure of early Spielberg's career. They did a movie called 1942 or 1945, and that was the only Spielberg movie that didn't
really?
work. Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, but it was Jim Belushi, not John Belushi.
Oh, but we were talking about
Jim Belushi.
Oh,
which is
his brother.
worse of why I still don't know.
Oh, well, no, Jim Belushi Jim Belushi was in like Heat, I guess is, oh God, I just wasted all of our time on John Belushi. Yeah, Jim Belushi is John Belushi's brother.
Right.
And he was a very bit player. But then he had a sitcom that ran forever that was huge called According to Jim.
Oh, right. I vaguely.
And he smoked cigars on it and stuff, I guess. Yeah.
And they were both on SNL, right?
No.
Oh, just John?
Jim was not, no.
Oh, got it. Well, anyway, I don't know him.
So,
and I
yeah, you
felt
would never be able to
embarrassed.
name a Jim Belushi movie, I don't think. He did one where he's a cop, too. I can't remember.
Got it. Yeah. I guess that's the point of the game. You are kind of trying to trick people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good trick.
Really great trick. All right. Is there a genetic relationship to Judaism and a lack of addiction?
Oh.
So this is just one study has shown that a genetic mutation carried by at least a fifth of Jewish people appeared to protect against alcoholism.
Huh.
The same inherited trait is fairly common in Asian people, but is much rarer in white Europeans. The findings could help explain why Israel has one of the lowest levels of alcoholism in the developed world.
Mm.
Well, that's interesting.
Well, what is always tricky when you're talking about Jewish people is there's Israelis and then there's the diaspora. So Russian Jews, I'm sure Russian Jews have the same rate of alcoholism as any other Russians. Genetically Russian people who converted to Judaism.
Converts probably are, not.
And so many of the Jewish folks in LA and New York are Russian Jewish folks. So they're not going to, And this is a big debate even within anthropology. So there is a Jewish ethnicity.
Right.
And a lot of the criteria is met by the definition of ethnicity, yet there is a big biological diversity among them. So you can't really call them a race because race is a wholly incomplete categorization of people. It doesn't.
To me, race is ethnicity.
Yeah, it's not. Just in scientific terms.
Okay.
Because ethnicity is common ancestry, shared language, usually shared religion. There's several criteria for ethnicity. Race is black-white. And that doesn't account for anything that happens within the continent of Africa. There's so much biodiversity, genetic diversity within African populations. There are African populations that have more in common with Irish people genetically than they do with other populations within Africa. So just the category of race is really, it really amounts to just skin color, which is a couple of alleles. We talked about this with someone else too.
Well, anyway, Jewish ethnicity. This is probably speaking more to Jewish ethnicity than Jewish religion.
Yeah. Because even here's another example of the ethnicity. So even like within the Russian population, they wouldn't call Russians an ethnicity, but they call Slavics an ethnicity because it has a shared ancestry and a shared tongue. Even though these Ukrainian and Russian are different, or these different languages they're all Slavic, right? And then you have Celtic as an ethnicity, and then you have Anglo as an ethnicity. So a lot of it's determined by language and shared ethnicity.
Got it.
That's why I refuse to call you Asian, because we would not, anthropologically, we would not call Indians Asian.
Right, but it's a geographical distinction. But like on tests and stuff, on like standardized tests, when you have to fill in your ethnicity on any of those things, you have to, you can do whatever you want, but Indians like put Asian.
Right.
Because that's the closest. That's what that you are. You're technically in Asia.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have a more specified.
Do you like that when you can
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like feeling like, I don't know. Anyway. Okay. You said there's a huge population of Chaldeans in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Metro Detroit has the world's largest population outside of Iraq with an estimated 121,000 people. Another 150,000 Chaldeans reside throughout the United States, particularly in Chicago, San Diego, and Phoenix areas.
Yeah, San Diego is the other big pocket I was aware of. I didn't realize
Also Chicago and Phoenix.
Ah.
Okay, Foster's Island Principle. This was new information to me. That it's very cool. It's called Foster's Rule or Island Rule.
Okay.
Or Island Effect. Which, yeah.
I learned it as Foster's Island Principle, which kind of combines all those things.
It does combine all of those things. Rule in evolutionary biology stating that members of a species get smaller or bigger depending on the resources available in the environment.
So for mammals, there are limited resources, so it's advantageous to be smaller and need less calories. For birds, it's all about having predators. So what keeps birds small is that they can remain fast and evade predation. But on an island with no predators, they no longer need to fly. And the bigger they get, the more sexual access they'll have to the females. Sexy access, as I call it.
For example, it's known that the pygmy mammoths evolved from normal mammoths on small islands. Similar evolution.
I would love to have a pygmy mammoth. Like when they talk about Jurassic Park and bringing back a T-Rex, fuck that. I want a little, like St. Bernard size pygmy mammoth in my house with like mini big tusks. I would love it. You know, I love miniature stuff, miniature trains.
I like miniature stuff too.
Ugh.
Remember when one time we talked about having a miniature brown bear?
Oh, that would be great too.
Yeah, and they're mean.
Yeah, but
they're small.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's cute.
What do you think the ideal size for a
Delta size?
Delta size,
Yeah, which is
so
about-
smaller than a raccoon, around a raccoon size, I guess. Well, isn't a raccoon a miniature bear? We wouldn't want one of those in the house.
He doesn't look cute. Ooh,
Well,
sorry, raccoons, but
sorry, raccoons.
I no, and they have to be
Do you
able
think
to
any
stand
raccoons are
up.
armcharies?
Stand up. Yeah, sorry, all of our raccoon armcharies. Didn't mean to offend you.
What if some person who has listened in their kitchen all the time to Armchair Expert, and they had their window open, they noticed one day that there was always a raccoon sitting on the gutter, just trying to peek its little ear in to hear what was happening? Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
I'd love to have that raccoon at one of the live shows. Everyone could shake its hand and everything.
Oh.
Put her or him in a little shirt.
Armchair shirt.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But if we had a little bear there, it'd be even better.
Oh, it'd be really exciting.
In a little holding our mug, drinking out of our mug.
Oh yeah, like Bart the Bear,
Yeah.
put coffee in it
He would stand up.
all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so a teddy bear.
Yeah. But mean.
Okay.
I like it when they're mean. Okay, yeah. So he proposed the simple explanation that smaller creatures get larger when predation pressure is relaxed because of the absence of some of the predators on the mainland. That's exactly what you just said. And larger creatures become smaller when food resources are limited because of the land area constraints. Good job. You pretty much said that exact thing.
Oh, thank you.
Okay,
I learned it 20 years ago.
Congratulations, you remembered. Who voiced the bird in Madagascar? Okay, I don't think there's a bird in Madagascar from what I could tell. There are some penguins. Maybe he was thinking of Rio.
Perhaps, yeah.
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 Unless, I mean, maybe I'm wrong and people will for sure say.
Well, the problem is there's like 10 Madagascars, aren't there?
Yeah, but I was just looking at Madagascar 1. And Chris Rock is the zebra.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Rawson comes up. Rawson
Thurber.
And I wanted to bring up that he created Ryan's show, Ryan Hansen Solves Crimes on Television, because I hung out with Ryan last weekend at a party.
Oh, okay.
A gender reveal party, actually.
Sean and Leandra, congratulations.
Sean and Leandra, close friend Sean and Leandra.
I'll go a step further, y'all. I'm on an episode this year that Rawson directed.
That's right. You're in the season. And
Doing my favorite thing, riding dirt bikes.
yeah, and doing something else you like to do that I won't spoil.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
And our friend Jess is also in this season.
And Leandra, who has a big congratulations.
Wow. Anyway, watch Ryan Hansen solves crimes on television.
Yeah.
The Blockade Runner Hotel. That's the hotel that Ike stayed at when he was shooting.
Or in the South.
Yeah. And I tried calling them to ask why it was called the Blockade Runner Hotel, but they didn't answer.
They didn't answer? What kind of hotel doesn't answer?
I know. I'm sorry. But yeah, it wasn't very good service. Blockade Runner Beach Resort in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. A blockade runner is usually a lighter weight ship used for evading a naval blockade of a port or strait, as opposed to confronting the blockaders to break the blockade. So it's skinny. It's very skinny and narrow. And the hotel is pretty skinny and narrow.
Oh, that's great.
So that's probably why.
That's wonderful.
Yesterday? Whatever. They should still be doing their jobs. No excuse.
Transfer your calls to higher ground. Rob just pointed out that they probably weren't answering because of the...
They're in the middle of a hurricane.
Yeah.
And
We gotta be careful because we don't...
We're in our privileged California
And we can't even really
sun.
talk about it because right now, as of Friday, we're 3 days away from this coming out.
Yeah. Oh, it's something... It could be terrible.
It could be the most devastating
You're
thing
right.
ever, and we would be so like cavalier about it. So
If
maybe
it
we should let's record two versions of this. One is like, oh my God, I tried to call the blockade hotel. Thank God they didn't answer.
Oh my God.
Because
if they were trapped
oh my God,
in there...
if they were there,
they must have
given what
evacuated.
happened, I'm so glad they didn't answer. Okay, that's one version. That's where shit went sideways.
Right.
Now this one is like it never even made landfall. It's like, well, these fuckers. I called the hotel the other day. They're not even there. They ran a week ago.
They're just they were so scared of the hurricane.
There was nothing.
that they
Didn't even make
left,
landfall.
Use it as an excuse.
Oh yeah. So there, you have both versions.
Yeah, and both were really sincere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, you talk about Devil in the White City, and we talk about that during Joel McHale's fact check. I'm sorry to say this, for real, we talked about that during the Joel McHale fact check. Sorry, guys. Is there a flight from Burbank to LAX? No. No, there's not.
But I wish you would have found out if anyone's had to pop in for 5 gallons of fuel.
I didn't know who to call.
Yeah,
for
who do
that.
you call? Not the Blockade Hotel.
No, they're lazy or being really smart.
Yeah, one of the two. They're either heroes or cowards.
That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, I want more. But we like Ike, huh? We could have him back in a hot second.
Yeah, he was fun. You know, I knew I liked him
Mm-hmm.
because I love the Mindy Project.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all. I just knew it. I'm just
You
bragging.
knew it, yeah. Yeah, I had seen less of him than you had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you want to see him every day.
I want to see him run the 40 in the tight spandex.
Oh, you want a picture? of
See what's
that?
going on, yeah.
Sure.
What kind of bounce we got.
I'd see a picture.
You would, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I like about you is that you're generally interested in seeing male genitalia, which is rare. I don't know that it's the norm. It's the normative thing. So when someone does enjoy it, it's great because I love those photos. You know,
Sure.
I just think it's such a silly looking thing. It's so funny, especially if it's bouncing to and fro.
Well-
in a record-setting sprint to 100 meters. I don't want to embarrass him, but Usain Bolt, just a bunch of junk down there.
Yeah.
It's so stimulating to watch because he's so much faster than everyone. It's the only event in the Olympics where it's like a fucking runaway. Like he's so good, it's
He
bonkers.
is. Yeah.
Other than Shaun White's the only other person where it's like the gap between first and second is so huge.
Although in this last Olympics, I feel like the gap. He still won.
Oh, with Shaun, yeah, it wasn't as big, but boy, remember we got choked up.
Excited. It was exciting. Really.
Yeah,
God,
still
I love the Olympics so
Me too.
much. I wish it was again.
I wish
it
we
was
could
now.
move somewhere where the Olympics were every year, but that doesn't exist because it's a global thing.
I mean, we could make our own Olympics.
I guess
in the
we're
backyard.
a year out, so we didn't have it this summer. So I'm imagining we have it next summer.
No, it's every 4 years.
I know, but we had Winter Olympics.
Oh, last year, dude? Yeah, last.
So
winter.
now they come every 2 years.
Right. So 2000.
Oh, it's 2020. Is it here?
No, that's.
Oh,
next
I got to move
time.
out of this city before that happens.
No, I'm excited.
Well, now that I ride a road bike, maybe I can get around.
Yeah. What events are you going to
Tokyo.
go to?
Well, all the penis ones,
Of course.
sprinting, hurtling. Nate's got a whole theory about your thighs. Like you're pushing so much blood through your thighs, and that you're sending so much blood to the region that it just can't help but engorge. Can I tell one quick story?
Yeah.
I went with my friend Joya to this bodybuilding contest. It was amateur. So there were guys up there that were, 70 pounds overweight, they had good biceps, so they were doing it. It was great. I loved it. And one of the guys had a raging erection through all of his poses. And it kind of made sense. Like he was just squeezing blood into every single muscle. And he was fully engorged and just posing. And I thought, how liberating for him to stand up there and just go, fuck, do I quit? No, I just got to embrace this. I'm hard as a rock and I'm going to keep posing. You have to cross a threshold. You know what I'm saying? You got to go like, well, I have two options: walk off this stage embarrassed, or just keep flexing and own this erection.
Do you really think anyone's embarrassed?
I would be humiliated to be on stage with a full blown erection. I would feel so
After
weird
you just
about
had
it.
victory. Maybe you, but
No, mid posing, like through his routine, he became engorged during the routine, and so he was either going to have to leave the stage and not finish his routine, or just go, you know what, I got to own this boner and keep flexing. And he chose the latter, and I applauded it.
yeah.
I'm so happy. It gave all of us such a charge because we were all aware of it. You're trying to be polite and act like you're not aware of it, but we are aware of it. There's we're really sharing an experience.
Good for him. He
And
gave you
us.
guys some community.
Experience. Yeah. It was great.
All right.
All right. I adore you and love you.
I love you.